What's going on, fam? I know we in the morning. We're in the morning. What's going on, everybody? Look, I'm usually up around this time anyway because I'm more of a night owl, and usually these are metaphysical times. Like I think the time between 3 and 6 is when the windows of heaven, windows of heaven. Wow, the windows of heaven. Sorry, the windows of heaven, is open. So this is a lot of time where a lot of people normally would pray, would petition, would speak affirmation. So I'm usually up around this time. But I figured that I would continue my review of LanceScurv's most recent video, which is the emasculation agenda, okay, of the black man continues. Okay, this was streamed live 16 hours ago. Now I'm going to try to make it to at least an hour, at most an hour and a half, just to see if anything new comes up in the argument. If it's the same thing that we've heard for the past 36 minutes in reference to this video that I turned into almost 4 hours of content, then we'll just stop right there. So I still want to give an opportunity to really understand where both Brother Lance and my sis in Christ Jesus, girl Liz, is coming from. So we're going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to try my best to keep my commentary to I ain't gonna say a minimum, but not really. Kind of stick to the video a little bit, because even though I'm going deeper into different aspects and perspectives of the black dysphoria, the black community and its intersections that go on within it, I still want to understand what the problem is in reference to just addressing these. Shall I say, symptoms as opposed to the root. Because now what happens is that when you don't deal with the root, you bleed out on the other people. And y'all not going to keep bleeding out on the LGBT community, especially the community of color. Okay, now I understand that y'all might have your own perspectives about what y'all believe, and you have every right to do that. But the broad generalization that you're putting on the majority of LGBT people or all LGBT people is unacceptable. So yeah, I'm at the 36-minute and 18-second mark, and here we go. Hopefully y'all can hear.
The liberal or conservative push. Let me ask that question first, and then I'll proceed. What's your answer to that?
There's no class politically, status-wise, on sexuality. They're all in bed with each other. All of them. They may express it in a more brazen way and call this person that. But you have conservatives who are deep in it just as much for decades, and this has been a political push. Behind closed doors, they will play, like a friend of mine said, that the news and everything news is like adult wrestling. Wrestling is not real. What they push out there, it's orchestrated.
Wrestling is entertainment.
You know, they may have some, when they bang and hit the ground and act like they're hitting. Come on, you jump chairs and all that stuff. It's choreographed. And so,
but at the same time, there's a lot of people who do wrestling who do end up in accidents, who do get fucked up, and all that type of stuff. So what you have to also understand is that these people pay money to have their beliefs suspended. Okay, they're paying money to see entertainment. They know it's entertainment. They know that it's fake. They know that it's choreographed. They know the stories are all put together. They know this. This is a part of the entertainment aspect because people want to also be entertained.
Let's eat the popcorn. Like, wow, okay, if you watch it, it's like a soap opera. It's an imitation on reality. It's not real. But with them, they play that game like one will be against it. And I'm telling you, you have so many politicians that get on TV against the LGBT community, but they're swallowing just as much next generations from different men going to the bathrooms. What? Washington, D.C.? The party city? Washington, D.C.? It ain't just chocolate city and black folks partying. It's a gay mecca. We talk about Atlanta. Yeah, we know that. But there, and why is it that way there? And they have layers and layers and layers of the underbelly of the political gay world. You would be surprised. You'd be surprised. Do your thing if you're an adult behind closed doors. But why do you have to bring the minds of the children, and especially the black children, and put them up as black men and black women as the face of it?
Why would you believe that that's the face of it? Is it the face of it because you see that there are LGBT people of color who are actually thriving and actually living a better life? And like I said in my last video that I did earlier today in reference to my review of this video, it seems like there's a jealousy factor that there are Black people who are already Black, but yet have the other label placed on them as far as LGBT, that they still choose to thrive and to grow in the midst of adversity. And I think us as a Black community, we're losing that drive. We're losing that drive to continue to go for Blackness in a real way that actually makes change. Now we're sitting around just talking about everybody and trying to have the pain Olympics about who hurts the most. Fuck all that. People are hurting. So if people are hurting, let's create dialogue that allows for everybody included to be healed from it. Because once again, you might be speaking about, there might be an underbelly of things going on in the political world, in the world of the quote unquote elite. It is not just a gay thing. It's a straight, it's a thing with power at the end of the day. It's power. There are heterosexual, gay, bisexual, transgender. There are people up there in high positions of power who have power and misuse and abuse their power. They misuse and abuse that power. But y'all focusing on the gay part of it. You're trying to make this a gay thing when it's not a gay issue. It's an issue of power and people using their power over other people. And I'm going to get back to the video. I said I wasn't going to do it, but fuck it. This BubzDaGawd flow. Listen, Jaguar right. Even though she's cat shit crazy, that doesn't mean that everything that she says is not true, factual, or has wisdom to it. When she said the story about Sean Diddy Combs and how allegedly he made Christopher Williams give him a blowjob for a contract. And when she said that the next time Diddy's assistant came into the office, and Diddy said, if I can make another man suck my dick, that shows how much power I have to have control and dominion over somebody else. So what y'all are trying to do is make that applicable to the whole community. And what y'all don't understand is that even though there are gays in Washington, we have this power and protection for the rest of us on the lower end, on the bottom end, who are outside and not exclusive to that privilege and that power. We have to deal with the bullshit. And what the fuck is not going to happen is y'all not going to sit up here and continue to speak things in a broad, generalized way that ends up covering other LGBT plus people who are literally just trying to live their best life. We're not going to do that, Lance. We're not going to do that, bruh.
But they have no power. Mm-hmm. They're just pawns. And they think that they can get away from their Blackness by identifying themselves. Well, I'm gay and I'm young. And you fighting and protesting for gay rights. And when they get their so-called rights, your Black ass is on your own. When your brother or sister gets shot down, you don't see any rainbow flags talking about we go into the Black community because, like they always say, our struggles are similar. So if it's similar, then why don't you help us out?
What in the fuck are you talking about? Help y'all out. Help y'all out. Maybe y'all just looking in the wrong areas. And that there are people that genuinely want to help that are part of the community. But you know what happens when these, like I said earlier, it don't fucking matter. As soon as sexuality is disclosed or the truth is brought out, all of a sudden it seems as if though our Blackness card is revoked. It's revoked. And if there was a space for LGBT plus people of color in the Black community that was a safe space, an inclusive space, a space that tries to understand other people and build community, there will be no need for people of LGBT to create LGBT. Once again, it's another marginalized group. And there will continue to be smaller intersections of ostracized groups until somebody decides to stop, look, and listen and actually have conversations from the heart. That's what we're not doing. Because at the end of the day, okay, let's take what you said, Lance, as far as why don't you help us out? There have been LGBT people marching for Black lives, but then when we look at how they treat us while we're marching for them, but y'all don't want to include us into it because you think of homosexuality as an agent of chaos. When you can actually look and see what the true agents of chaos in the community really is if you do your research factually. But see, it's hard to do that because that's your son, that's your cousin, that's your nephew, that's your uncle doing that trap shit. All I can do is pray, like candles and shit, and do what I can, because I can only make the change within myself. I can't make the change for everybody else. But change can start with conversations. And I'm glad we having this one.
But you want to get us over there by you and say, well, what about the gays? What about y'all? You can do what you want to do behind closed doors.
No. Because once again, y'all are equating just heterosexual people are more than just sex. Heterosexual people are more than just their sexuality, correct? Heterosexual people can hold hands walking down the street. Shit, that hookah kind of hit hard, damn. They can hold hands down the street. They can show PDA without having their lives threatened. They can sing songs openly to each other about loving each other and serenading each other without it being a problem. But if a gay man is by himself and he just walking and you know he gay, automatically, there's a problem, there's an issue. And if you really want to talk about it, statistically speaking, when it comes down to LGBT, it ain't really white people out here killing LGBT people of color. It's our own people killing us. But I mean, hey, that's a part of our experience, right? The self-hatred and the hurt and pain and how we don't heal from that and then place that onto other people and make it their responsibility. It's a new time, y'all. Y'all gonna have to wake up.
I gotta know about this. If you want to smoke crack, you can go do it all you want. If you want to sniff cocaine, you can do methamphetamine, be an alcoholic, kill off your liver. You're free to do this.
Right.
But why now does it have to be put out and pushed? Why? Especially with us being...
You know, it's interesting in that.
I'm buffering a little bit. Keep going.
When you think about the likes, let's say, of James Baldwin, and, you know, him being a writer and all the things that, you know, he would write about. But he never came out without, I mean, he mostly wore suits. So you may see him in pictures with, let's say, a sweater, and a dress shirt, and some slacks.
Right.
He never pushed anything like this, and he was very secure in what he was, and no one had an issue with him. His plight was always for the upliftment of Black people.
I respect that.
Yes, and so when you look at what's happening now, and it's like, okay, well, a Black man in the entertainment industry can get more shine if he puts on some type of over-the-top dress.
Wow.
Than if he wore a very nice suit. You see how?
So y'all want the respectability politics. You want. See, it's just like us as Black people. Put on our Sunday's best. Just don't look like what you've been through, girl. Just don't look like what you are. But let's talk about suits and the presentation of suits and slacks. How many people have dressed up in suits and slacks, but were still demonic in their energy? See, y'all are looking at the outward expression of these people as opposed to getting to know who they are on the inside. But I mean, nobody's willing to understand us as Black people. So I guess in that way, we're looking at it like, well, damn, if y'all not going to understand us, we're not going to understand y'all. That's the fucked up problem. We got to care about people that we don't understand, because that gives us an opportunity to love ourselves and therefore push love onto other people. And it's so crazy how every time you speak about homosexuality, it's always compared to some sort of drug or something negative. See, y'all can't even accept that. Y'all want people to be gay, but keep it on the down low. No. It's a new day. People are going to be gay, and if it is what it is, it's going to be what it's going to be. Now you have a choice once again. So if you're talking about choices, you have a choice on whether or not your ass wants to watch it or not. You have a choice on whether or not you want to give it energy or not. Come on, y'all. Come on.
And we, as a whole, the first thing most of us will say, well, okay, well, things have changed, not like they used to be.
Evolution, okay. Growth.
Is that what it's going to be now?
Yeah, it's evolution, it's growth. It's evolution and growth. I mean, we have been dealing with 400, 500 plus years of slavery, girl. It gets to a point to where, what are we going to do about it for blackness? Now wait for white people to forgive. Now wait for white people to renounce what they've done. Because, I mean, if we wait, like I said in my previous video, if we wait for them to do that, it's going to be another 400, 500 plus years. And also, once again, black people are not allowed to evolve and to grow and to be free. And like I said, y'all might look at LGBT people of color as people who are ostracized and demonized and doing that to themselves. No, when a person can go out into a world, once again, that does not support them and say, I don't give a fuck, I support myself. A lot of people feel insecure about that because it's like, damn, if they can walk out with a dress on and some lipstick and a full beard and live their best life and don't give a fuck and they living freely, what does that say about me?
Look how fast things have changed in our lifetime.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
it has.
I always say we always knew that dude who might have had a little handkerchief tied around his neck, or he was quiet and didn't bother nobody, and he had that friend that he was always walking up and down with, and would go over to his house on the weekend. They'd stay inside, and you see him in the backyard cooking out. Or whatever. You never saw nothing happen.
Yeah, but y'all used to that. Y'all used to, once again, just leave it in the background. Don't say nothing about it. Don't bring it out your bedroom. Excuse me, we are human beings. Y'all acting like motherfuckers is just pulling out dicks and slapping motherfuckers in the face with it. Come on, y'all. I mean, these arguments are getting old, y'all. These arguments are getting old.
Supposed to see. Well, we hadn't figured out. We know the brother was a little sweet, but still, if he's so little,
and everyone. No one treated him as a pariah. Now, I'm not saying that the black church didn't do its part in ridiculing certain behaviors, but the black church also did a lot of covering up when it came to predators on children. So
yeah, you want to know why it was predator on children? Because once again, it was about the power and the money. That's why these people were doing what they were doing. Now, those individuals who use their power and their influence in a negative way that actually destroys by actually hurting people, putting people in situations that cause for their lives to be in danger, and then being able to have the money and the power to cover it up. Yeah, that's the church. That's the church. And it ain't just... See, once again, y'all are trying to break this broad generalization that predators are just exclusive to homosexual LGBT plus people. There was a show that came out, I don't even know if it's still out, on MSNBC a long time ago, called How to Catch a Predator, or To Catch a Predator, something along the lines of that. Right? The majority of those men were heterosexual men who were trying to get to little girls. So my thing is, we're going to have the conversation about predators, child predators, child abusers, physically, mentally, emotionally. Then let's have that conversation across the board. Come on, y'all. Come on.
A whole host of this. Okay? That's why I don't trust none of them. Okay, they are a bunch of mess as it pertains to black people. So I mean, I don't know. No.
Right.
1 minute you will have. I mean, look at the mess that went on with Eddie Long. I mean,
right.
The black women who were downtrodden children because they revered a man who was living in deceit all along. But they were playing against the child. I mean, that tells you about the convolutions in the church right there. But just in the grand scheme of things, and black men continually being emasculated, especially when they put out, Lance, all of these athletes, these entertainers, etc., who think that it is okay for their own personal self-expression. And we're not talking about self-expression self-expression in that regard. We're talking about you as a...
If y'all can see these comments he is putting up. Let me read some of these comments real quick. Oh, I'm sorry. We're going back to Liz talking.
Downtrodden children because they revered a man who was living in deceit all along.
Right.
But they were playing against the child. I mean, that tells you about the convolutions in the church right there. But just in the
first comment, peace. There's also a famous black male psychologist who spoke of him seeing the male students down south dressing like women, and this was in the 80s. Okay, that was by Victory Music.
And black men continually being emasculated, especially when they put out Lance.
Other comment, Victory. In my opinion, I guess they were responding to what Victory just said. In my opinion, because there is more men than women, and many men just can't find a partner, so many lose their minds and turn trans or gay and trying to be the women they could never have. What? I need to, hold on, y'all. Let me grab my other phone. Hold on, because I want to look it up, because I think, factually speaking, there are more women than men. Hold on. Hold on 1 second, y'all. Hold on, y'all. Yo, I feel so good in this room. I got this AC on. Yes, praise the Lord. I'm one of them people that when it's cold, I still need the fan on something. I just love being in the cold. I can't sleep in that heat. Let me see. Hold on. Look this up. Men to women ratio in the U.S. Let me see. How I do? Hold on, y'all. I know I'm taking a minute, y'all. Because I just want to be sure. The U.S. population of men and women ratio. United States of America, male to female ratio to the total population. In 2020, male to female ratio for United States of America was 97.95% males to per 100 females. So in the U.S., according to this, and this is on Google, you can look this up. And if I'm wrong, I don't mind being corrected. But according to what Google said, okay, because I put men to women ratio in the U.S., it said there are 97.95 males per 100 females. So there's going to still be somewhat of a surplus of women, which supports what I believe, that there are more women in the world than there are men. And I mean, you got brothers killing each other. So I mean, y'all taking it down. Okay. And then on top of that, there are a lot of black men out here that are going through so much psychological trauma that they don't even know how to stand up and be men, which means to take accountability and responsibility for their actions and not actually be there for the black woman. So what I'm going to need for y'all to do is have that conversation with heterosexual people about heterosexual people. Okay? Let's keep it going.
Of these athletes, these entertainers, etc., who think that it is okay for their own personal self-expression. And we're not talking about self-expression in that regard. We're talking about you as a person part of the Homo sapiens species, and people are going to look at you in your own black community and think about what that does to the children's psyche.
Hold on 1 second. Let me read a comment that Victory said. We're going to rewind it because I want to talk a point to what Liz said. Y'all, I'm trying. I know I said I was going to let this video play, but I mean, I got to be true to me. Victory Music came back in the comment and said, you don't hear about gay or trans women turning to the man space in the same way. What is it about men and boys who want to be women all of a sudden and tell us they are better women than we are? What? Once again, what? What is it about men and boys who want to be women all of a sudden and tell us that they are better women than we are? What? Again, to me, that sounds like insecurity. Maybe the secure women need to have conversations with insecure women about their womanness. I can't speak about women because I don't know what it's like to be a woman or a female. I'm not a trans woman. I don't know what that experience is, because even with men and women, man, woman is a social construct. Male and female is the gender. So we're not having a nuanced conversation. We're having a very basic, beta level, service mind conversation. But anyway, I'm gonna rewind it back so I can listen to the point that our sis Liz said. Hold on.
These entertainers, etc.,
right,
who think that it is okay for their own personal self-expression. And we're not talking about self-expression
we're not,
in that regard.
I thought we
were.
Talking
about
okay.
You, as a person part of the Homo sapien species, and people who are going to.
Y'all hate homosexuals but love Homo sapien. Girl, make it make sense.
Liberal or conservative push. Let me ask that question first, and then I'll.
Oh shit, my bad. I didn't fucking damn. Hold on, y'all. I ended up exiting out and went back. Okay, here we go. My bad, y'all. My bad. We trying to make it work, y'all.
The game here is make up your mind.
Oh, make up. Or maybe wait. Where we at? Okay, here we go. We back where we at. Okay, cool.
You know,
sorry, y'all.
It's not enough to say anymore. I forget who said this during the civil rights era.
Let me back this up. My bad, y'all. Okay, let's just keep it here. Fuck it. I was trying to find a timestamp, but it won't work.
Entertainers, etc., who think that it
personal
is okay
expression
for their own.
They can't have personal expression without it being conservative. Okay, we understand that. Go ahead.
In that regard, we're talking about you, as a person part of the Homo sapien species, and people who are going to look at you in your own Black community and think about what that does to the children's psyche. You know, it's not enough to say anymore. I forget who said this during the civil rights era, but they were talking about that some of these entertainers, depending on what they do, they have a obligation about what they portray.
Right.
They have an obligation. And so when you start portraying this stuff, because you, especially now, with, like we said at the beginning of the show, all of these social medias, and these children are following behind you, and then parents have got to come back behind and try to deprogram some of the mess that goes on. I mean, words, and the first thing they'll say is, it's not my job to raise your child. So we have to think about what the game here is. Make up your mind. Because for someone to say they want to be an icon, I mean, you can't be an icon without the people.
Right.
You can't icon without the people. You have to have people to champion you on for you to be an icon.
I agree.
So if you're wanting the people to be, you want to be an icon, and people have to champion you on to be what you say, then yes, you do have an obligation about what you portray.
Right.
You do.
Well, maybe once again, like I said, my sis Liz, once again, it's about the obligation to show representation for other people who didn't grow up seeing people like them on television. And when they were in television, they were made as mocks. They were mockeries. They were caricatures. They were funny. They were funny. In living color, with men on film. It was made fun of. Y'all had this certain narrative or perspective, okay? Certain narrative and perspective about LGBT people in the Black community. But what's happening now is that Black people finally have a chance in the community, in the LGBT plus community of color, now have the chance to be able to tell their own stories. And once again, like Lance said earlier, and even Liz, you agreed to that as well. We knew who the gay man was because he was quiet, he was this, he was that, whoop-de-whoop-de-whoop. And someone put a comment, yes, gay people are coming out more because it was hidden for ages. Of course, girl, it's coming to the light. It's coming to the light. But the totality of the truth is coming into the light, which also includes the experiences of LGBT plus people of color. Come on, y'all. Y'all, and I get it. People say, you know, well, that's not how it was when we was growing up. Well, thank God it's not. There's this thing called evolution and growth. Evolution and growth is imperative, because without growth and you become stagnant, there is death. And on top of that, heterosexuality is not going to be immediately erased. Heterosexual people will always and forever be the majority, because y'all are the ones who y'all say that we can't procreate in the conventional method. There are other methods in which we can bring life into this world, but because it's not in the conventional method, and then we live in a world that's very hypersexual. Y'all talking about the children. Y'all not really talking about the children. Because if you were talking about the children, you would be holding Meg Thee Stallion, you would be holding Nicki Minaj, you would be holding Lil DaBaby, you would be holding Lil Bootsy, you would be holding all these people who speak about sex so explicitly in their lyrics, to where now 9, 10, 11, 12-year-old boys talking about throw babies. And 12-year-old girls walking around talking about they a hot girl. So if we're going to have these real ass conversations about the children and the children not dealing with sexuality, let's have the entire conversation, not just a one-sided conversation, but a whole conversation, so that we can look at the whole thing.
That's right.
So what do you want your legacy to be? Do you want LanceScurv's legacy to be that he is sitting around here and everything that he does goes against the black man?
Wow.
And how he's portrayed. He's portrayed in a negative light.
Wow.
He's portrayed as weak, unmasculine in many areas. He doesn't protect his queen, okay, on the board. All of this stuff. Is that what you want your legacy to be while you're here and portrayed? Or do you want your legacy to be that when someone thinks about Lance, okay, wow, they think of a strong black man, a husband, a father, a person who had no fear in speaking his convictions.
And I want to say this real quick. We are, and I'm speaking for myself. Does the black man at large have an identity problem? Yes. We're trying to figure out who we are. We are people trying to figure out exactly who we are. I understand that. And I get that. But what you also have to understand is that there are, once again, intersectionalities where there are different people who have their own unique expressions of God being manifested on this earth. And there are some people who are just not going to fit the mold. There are some people who are not just going to be able to fall in this amalgamation with everybody else. Because we're talking as if though we have this identity that is so strong in blackness, but yet we are struggling with that to the point to where black men are willing to kill other black men and women, which is the bigger issue. And masculinity is needed. Masculinity is needed. We're not saying that masculinity does not have its place, but when you start going on the opposite extreme ends, as far as hyper masculine, then that becomes a problem, because hyper masculine means that there is a lack of masculinity, and there seems to be a problem with the men who don't end up walking in their own masculine energy. And if you are a man who believes in masculine energy, just walk in your masculine energy. Just like how LGBT people of color are walking in their truth, walk in your truth as a heterosexual man. Show up for your family. Do what you need to do. But once again, pointing the fingers and putting the blame on who's destroying the black community, y'all pointing at the wrong people. I'm just saying, at large, y'all pointing at the wrong people.
Atrocities played upon his people, etc., etc. See, people that are not really thinking about that. They're thinking about the immediate and the here and now. But there's something past the now.
Right, that's true.
And it is called the future.
Yeah.
There's something past the now. The future.
Yeah. But you got to live in the present moment to get to the future, because the future ain't promised. Tomorrow's not promised. So it's about what you do today. So the present moment is very important. We always talk about the past and we always talk about the future. We need to talk about the present moment, what's happening in the present moment. How can we fix the present moment, heal the present moment to get to the future that includes all of blackness?
And so when you were showing this stuff, it's kind of like, think right now, when you say the name Roman Polanski, people only think one thing about him. They don't think anything about the career. They think about one thing about that man. So, okay. So what do you want your legacy to be? And I don't think that in the totality of everything, even with them getting these models to portray these Playboy bunnies, I don't think that they're internalizing that as well. All they're thinking was, oh, this is going to be, I mean, in 50 years, people are going to look back and they're going to say this. No, somebody like me who is very clear-minded,
okay,
with their pineal gland open.
Amen, pineal gland.
The debauchery that's going on in the black race. I'm not thinking about that.
So much to the point you ain't thinking about it so much to the point that y'all was here for 4 hours.
You know, like you said, and I'm not seeing it come up on my but I just want to say to Sean Robin, thank you so much. You know, he said Grand Rising, but he also said LanceScurv for president. That'd be one of the shortest presidencies.
Girl, they had one nigga up there. They ain't gonna let no other nigga, girl. They was like, y'all got y'all one nigga pass for the next 4 centuries.
And Photoshop all kind of pictures and say I was gay behind. So they do everything. But we don't usually get a grasp on what the future. A lot of us think that, well, the future is something that's going to happen that we don't have a say-so in. See, right now is the future. And our children are the future.
Yeah.
So we do things now to our children, it's going to be definitely the future.
But do y'all have to also understand that chip, y'all? We're going to get to the hour mark or an hour and a half at most. Y'all tend to forget that children are people who are energies, are spirits, are souls that came to this planet to have their own experience too. Y'all don't want to also accept the child's experience. Because y'all make it seem like the child is dumb. The child may be ignorant to the world because where they came from, they were already taken care of. But they also have a way, once again, through the lens of love, to look at something that the majority deemed as evil, actually take time to understand it, to have empathy about it. And maybe there needs to be a world where if people gay, okay, so what? I'm not gay. I don't have, if you're not having the gay sex and doing the gay shit, you shouldn't have no problem. But once again, when it's connected to you, and you know how, quote unquote, the world looks at it, because not even the world, I'm gonna say America, because there's certain places in the world that actually honor all aspects of God's expression, even LGBT+. Native Americans were very spiritual, very connected to God, like we were. We still get to that. Honored two-spirited people because they understood that they had a purpose. Once again, we are a community that is still trying to build the foundation for us to build this black monolith. And guess what? The monolith is not just black. It's a whole bunch of colors, baby. We the salt of the earth. Come on now.
The sum total of all of our experiences in life and all the things that influenced us. I don't know if you remember that there was a scene in the Terminator where I think it was Terminator 3, was it? Terminator 2. Well, they had the guy, the little small Terminator, who could change and metal and bend himself. He was a little guy, a little pointy ears. Well, at the end, when I think, or was it Arnold Schwarzenegger? But they had dropped one of them into a vat that could just burn up anything.
Right. That was Terminator 2, I think.
Everybody they touched, everybody they morphed with, you saw a piece of them for a second. You saw a piece of this one for a second. So that's the way I see life. Because we're not just programmed by what we generate with our thoughts. We're very porous in our being. It's just like what most people don't know. This is why you should get a granite countertop as opposed to a marble countertop. Because marble is porous. And if you drop a little grapefruit juice in there, it's going to sink into the marble and not be able to come out. So you have to be very careful with it. But granted, you can drop ink, you can drop paint, you can do all kind of stuff and wipe it away, and it's not going to become porous. When we're younger, we're more porous than we are when we're older.
Understandable.
In our ways.
Understandable.
That being said, for them to push this thing even more and create a new normalcy in the future, which is not too far from now, because whatever age you are, really look at it. Damn, I'm 58. I was 32 the other day. 2 days before that, I was 16. I know more, and I know I have more experiences, but I'm still the same person at the core who receives emotions and feels things and happy and sad and motivated and all these different things. This earthly ride is so short, but they want to get maximum benefit out of it to turn things, and people want to say, they wait for me to say, it's not natural, so they can build up and deflect and have another fight. Look, why don't y'all go hang out, do what y'all do? You benefit who, the ones who wave the flag, they ain't fighting against that. They want that. I mean, dudes who go to the club and try to figure out who the freak is and who the one who just looks sexy or whatever. If the freaks can go, I'm afraid, it makes your job easy to find one who does the things that you do, doesn't it? So you're not going to fight against that. You like that. So they're not going to fight against that and get mad at somebody who speaks up here, because y'all know, and even y'all are silent about that. We've had this around since the beginning of time. We know that.
Right.
But why is it pushed more? What is coming?
It's not push more, Lance. It's representation, bro. It's representation. It's representation. And some people, once again, y'all are used to gay people growing up being secretive and quiet. It wasn't by their, I ain't gonna say it wasn't by their choice, because they chose to be secret and to be behind closed doors. But you know why they had to? Do you know why they had to, Lance? Because if they would have walked out into the world and showed their PDA, or hell, didn't even show PDA, just their energy was different to where you can tell, like you said, you can sense he had that one little friend or whatever. Well, what if this person and his little friend decide to go to the corner store to get something, right? And they say a little flirtatious joke to each other around a group of niggas. What do you think is gonna happen? Once again, this man was talking to his partner in the store, to him, wasn't talking to the group of niggas. But all of a sudden, a group of niggas overhear this shit, and now that gives him an opportunity. Because once again, Lance, and that's what I'm saying, y'all not, Lance and Liz, and for the individuals who agree with them, I'm saying that you have a point and you have a place here. You have a point and a place here, but your viewpoint and perspective on this is obscured. It's obscured, which is why you need to have LGBT people on your platforms to have real ass conversations. I'm not talking about, oh, we're going to have someone on here, we're going to gang up on them and throw everything at them to destroy them. No, if we're talking about the Black community, we're going to have a conversation about the Black community. And there are Black people that are LGBT. And if Black people live their best life, we're going to live our best life too. What's up, Amber? Let's continue forward, y'all.
What do they feel? It's on a physical and on a spiritual level, seen and unseen. What is it about us vibrating as we are made to be? I know there's a lot of people who get molested and things happen. Right. I was molested by an older cousin in her 30s when I was almost 5 years old. That's why I like to eat pizza a lot, because it influenced me. But I know that. So I keep myself in check, because I know that my concrete mold, while it was soft, somebody put their hand in it, and that's imprinted in me for the rest of my life. But at the same time, Lance, you always have an opportunity, and people always have opportunity to heal from these things and not let them bother them. There are people who, and I'm going to say this, I might be speaking ignorantly on this because I've never been molested. I've never had those experiences. And my heart goes out to those who had those experiences. But just like there are people who are still victims to their experience, there are some people who was able to liberate themselves from that experience. Back to the analogy you used about the granite top and the marble top. That goes inwardly to being secure with who you are. If who you are in your spirit and your soul is like that, I think you said granite, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was granite and marble. The marble is the porous one. If your spirit is not the porous one, if your spirit is non-porous, in reference to that, and you can wipe away the things that don't serve you particularly, then that's all that's being asked. But once again, LanceScurv and Liz, y'all not the only people on planet Earth, baby. There are other people who are allowed to have their own expressions and their own realities of it. If Black people would learn to work on their own self-love, they wouldn't take the time out to be focusing on other people's perspective of their lives and actually work on their own.
With your life.
But I'm not going to go to a child and tell them what they should be or what they should like to do. But keep it within what it is so we can be the
Oh wow, yeah. Make sure you get you some rest, Amber.
Foods. Isn't it funny?
And congrats to your sister-in-law.
Any nutrition because it's not made to be absorbed into our cells. But we have GMO sexuality now.
GMO sexuality. That's a new one.
We're in a world now that we're forced to not even be able to say that we have the pebble in our shoe. You know when your mama, your daddy, your aunt, your grandma, whoever raised you, they might have even picked the shoes. Mommy, I don't like them shoes. Shut up. You're getting the shoe. But one thing they asked you, how does it feel?
How does it
because
feel?
We're comfortable. How does it feel? So now we're moving more so into the age of censorship. You can't say nothing against gays. You can't say nothing against this jab. You can't say nothing against whatever. The big corporations are taking over. And we're supposed to be subservient.
Yeah. And I agree, capitalism, I agree with that part.
Being in their shoe, we're the troublemakers because we'll wake up people to seeing what they don't see because they are almost defeated in their spirit. What do kids do when they're first born? They ask questions, almost to the point of, they just keep asking questions, but they're new to the world and their plate is clean.
Right.
And they're asking that right now. Do we have the balls? And for the sisters, the symbolic balls. Balls is not a physical thing.
Okay, so let me add, and it's the funny part, people talk about balls. You know, you got to have balls, you got to have the cojones. But what's so funny is that the balls is the most sensitive part on the man. Even if you flick somebody's nuts, girl, they're falling on the floor. It's so crazy. You want to, okay.
It's inside here.
That's true. It's inside of who you are.
Have the balls to tell them the truth against what the school is allowing, against what the TV is allowing, against what social media is bringing and delivering into your door. You going to sleep. You think your child is safe. I'll shut up after this. Well, they had their meal, and they ate, and now they're tucked away. They did the homework. They're safe. But at nighttime, you don't know what they're looking at, who they're texting with, and they're sending links for different things. Ooh,
that's true. That's true.
I used to hear girls on the back of the bus, 11, 12, 13 and up. I'm driving the bus. They don't know it's like a sound stage. All the sound comes up to the front. And plus, I got good hearing. Excuse me for being graphic, but I have to say this.
Go ahead.
Little girls, school girl dresses on, talking about how they learn to suck dick by watching porn.
Now we can have a real conversation.
Do it this way and that way. They're not doing this to 12 and 13-year-olds. They talk about the boyfriends who are in their 30s and 40s who are taking them to the shopping mall. Well, not so public. I'll sit out in the car and you take this, but they don't want to be seen now. You get a little McDonald's, get them a little hairstyle, maybe an outfit, and for the next week, they got to do what they got to do. And so now, not to get graphic, like I said, but if they were talking about, oh, I put this wee in my mouth. Okay, you're only doing it as playing around. But when you understand the workings of a man's mind, that you gotta wear this when you're doing it, and you gotta moan on it, and you gotta pull them boobies out and let them see it. And that's not no kid with that. That's a grown ass man. Oh, kids are driving around 12. Oh, your boyfriend who is 12 years is driving you to the mall. These are grown men. You understand? So there's so much going on with the influence. Why are our young kids like this? I'm not saying all 12 and 13-year-olds, but this is stuff I've heard repeatedly. And they go, Mommy, can I have some money so I can get some cookies and whatever have you? They play the role. So you got to watch over your children like a hawk because it's coming from everywhere. It's like Dawn of the Dead. They come into the windows. They come to the door. They home with your child tucked away with their cell phone, seeing things that you refuse to tell them about, but they're going to learn anyway. You got to tell them the real deal. So there's no curiosity. Or else.
Well, there's going to always be curiosity. Humans are curious, and not just children. There are adults who are curious too. Let's make this just a very juvenile thing. But I think, in my opinion, what parents should do is try, once again, talk to your children, understand where your children are coming from, understand that your children has a right to also express themselves and to learn. Because once again, it's not just a child learning about life. You're also learning how to be a parent to a child. So if you cover your child in love and tell them there are people who are going to be different from you. There are people in the world whose expressions are going to be different from yours. Learn to love yourself and know who you are on the inside so that when you go out into the world, because we talk about parents and all this stuff, there's going to come a point in time where mommy and daddy are going to have to die. There's going to be a point in time where mommy and daddy are not going to be able to make decisions and choices for you. So we need to have these conversations for real, because yes, children are growing up at a faster rate. I mean, we're living in a very technical age. We have evolved in reference to technology in way. I think I was watching American Horror Story, and somebody said if you take somebody from sometime in BC and put them in AD, they'll find a way to adapt. If you take somebody from the 70s and place them in 2021, they'll probably have a fucking panic attack and probably commit suicide, because it's technologically to where our brains are not evolving fast enough with technology, to where once again, people are walking around with supercomputers in their hands. So they're learning things. And also too, for the older generation, y'all can learn too. Y'all just don't know everything. Y'all know things based off of the lens of your experiences because you've been here longer. But there's one thing that both Lance and Liz don't understand. They don't understand the true LGBT gay homosexual aspect of it. They're on the outside looking in. If you want to know what's going on the inside, you're going to have to do like Christ did, girl. Walk in there. Be around that energy and actually walk in love and get to know people and understand people's stuff. Because if you actually took the time to have, if you just had a show that was strictly LGBT, where you only had LGBT people call in, LGBT people, the only people that can get on the link, LGBT people are the only people that can get on, and allow LGBT people to tell their stories about what the fuck they had to go through and what they had to deal with. The psychological harm that came when they accepted their truth and everyone outside of them didn't want to accept it. And it was supposed to be their mother and their father, their family members, their friends, their church family, all these people that they confided in with love are supposed to, in that time where they're being vulnerable, being able to accept their, and not even accept their place, because fuck that, accept who they are and what their experience is in this world is probably going to look like because of the outside perspective. That is a time where they're vulnerable and they need love. So when you ostracize them and you tell them these demonic things, as we're talking about influence, when you tell them this enough, certain people will start to believe the lie and make the lie truthful and make the lie a fact. We got to do better, y'all. But hello, y'all, BubzDaGawd here. And I'm going to do my part to help bring betterness to the Black community. Because guess what? LGBT is a part of the Black diaspora. Because there are Black people that are LGBT. It is what it is. Now, the question is, how are we going to be able to coexist? Because at the end of the day, LGBT plus people are going to thrive because we're learning to love ourselves and to be free from what a lot of people are, what my brother Lance and Liz are speaking of, which are fear narratives, fearful narratives. There is nothing that you see God worthy about it, about LGBT people. But see, Black people don't even really look at themselves and love themselves. They love themselves from an egoic place, as opposed from a higher place, a more spiritual place.
The world is going to teach them, and you're not going to know what grew up in your house under your tutelage and under your power.
Yeah, because as you know, I mean, they're changing, like even the pictures, Lance, in these books. And as you said, because a child's mind is so porous and they absorb everything that's shown to them, this is why their thought patterns are different. But as I said, it is these parents who, one, they're not homeschooling, or two, if they have to send their children to these schools, then it still is their job to deprogram once they get home. I mean, and that takes a lot of work. We have to get out of the realm of being lackadaisical when it comes to our children, because as a whole, we are. we allow these schools to sit here and say, well, they're going to take out critical race theory because they don't want the children to know about the atrocities and the truth of what actually happened in these places.
Factual,
but yet, come full speed ahead, they can show this mess like this in books all day and night. Now, make it make sense.
Well, I hope you make it make sense, Liz. That's because, see, when you talk about LGBT, y'all thinking of white LGBT, and white people in all their intersectionalities, unfortunately, are in this world in America, unfortunately, have superiority. Because even when these rights and stuff are placed into and turned into laws, which people also don't follow laws. Just because there's a law out there doesn't mean people have to follow it. So there are laws put in place, but they're not put in place to protect Black people. But what y'all are tending to forget is that there are Black people who are LGBT. That is also a part of their experience. They're living a dualistic experience. Again, y'all gonna have to stop looking at shit through rose-colored glasses and actually look at it for what it really is, which means you need to have our interpretation, you need to have our facts included into it. As much as y'all talk about James Baldwin and Bayard Rustin, if it had not been for influential people who were part of the community doing part for Blackness, Blackness would not be where it is now. But see, y'all want us to sit in the back and take all the glory. That sounds like some white supremacist shit, if you ask me, as far as the energy and the viewpoint of control. Because at this point, it seems like there's no conversation about equality in Blackness. It seems like there's a conversation of superiority in Blackness. And if that's the thing, just say that. Just say that.
I mean, that makes no sense. But this is what we are allowing to be perpetuated. And then these parents go down into these school board meetings and they showing their behinds. And because children are impressionable, just as you said, they are absorbing all of this stuff. They are just taking all of this in. And every time you look around, it is not even, yes, it is the emasculation of the Black man, but it is also the desecration of the Black family. Because when you look at these books, do you actually see a Black man, a Black woman, and their Black children as a unit, as a structure? No. So it is just evisceration of all of that. I mean, it's all of that. And as I said, I mean, this was already predicted long ago. This was already predicted. We have some people who are our scholars who are very clairvoyant when they do their own studies, etc. And they base their stuff using basic scientific doctrines about what's going on.
Basic, yes.
So
Basic.
I'm not aloof to any of that, and you yourself isn't as well. But as a whole, because we are just being lazy with some of the rhetoric that's going on in these schools, Lance, on these porous lines, as you just articulated, which was a great metaphor, it is still being put upon our children. And so when you think about our Black men and what is happening every time you turn around, they are being shown in different ways as it pertains to supposed to be the opposite sex. I mean, it's a mess. And you mentioned something earlier, Lance, early on in the conversation, when we talked about what has been happening and has been going on, and we've known about in our history, in our culture, is that some of the people who are in same-sex relationships, they're not with this agenda stuff. They see what's going on themselves.
Wait, what'd you say? Well, you say what?
It's been happening and has been going on, and we've known about in our history, in our culture, is that some of the people who are in same-sex relationships, they're not with this agenda stuff. They see what's going on themselves. Those are the ones who are clear-minded. I.e., I mentioned we're talking about James Baldwin.
So the gay men who do shit in the dark is the one that y'all want. The gay man that ends up doing a lot of the work that some of these heterosexual people, I'm gonna just say, can't do. Do it. Do the work, but your Your experience, we don't want your experience. We want a part of your experience. Sorry, y'all. I'll hit the joint real quick. We want y'all experience. We don't want your reality. We don't want the totality of your experience. We want a small part of it. The other shit that you do, keep it in the dark, keep it in the house, keep it in the this, just do it behind closed doors and all this stuff. No, gay people are people. They're just people who happen to be gay. They have a right, we have a right to express ourselves and live our life that way as well. And once again, there are a lot of gay men. I mean, well, let's talk about it, about these experiences. Let's talk about the experiences of LGBT people who low-key have some sort of PTSD when it comes to the Black community, because those was the ones that beat them down the most. Because what hurt people. And really, truly being clear-minded is walking through love. It's not just the mental, it's the mental and the emotional coming together. The mental, which is the masculine, and the emotion, which is the feminine, coming together to be balanced. And once again, these are different expressions of that, because there is no monolithic view of Blackness. We're trying to work on what Blackness looks like. See, y'all, don't worry. We, like I said, we're gonna have these real ass conversations. And I don't know, maybe by me doing this review, I might be invited on the LanceScurv show, which would be pretty dope. Because I do believe that Lance, even though his perspective on homosexuality is on such an extreme viewpoint, I do believe that Lance at his core and Liz at her core literally want to understand what's going on with Blackness. But we need to have these real ass conversations, not these opinions that we think is going on. Fuck what we think or whatever. Let's have the conversations with the people, right? The people. We're talking about the Hollywood execs that have the money to live their own life. We're talking about the people at the bottom, who also include LGBT plus people of color. Because at the end of the day, that stuff affects us at the bottom. This broad generalization affects us. And goddamn it, you're not going to bleed out insecurity on me and tell me that I can't live my life because of some old shit. Well, the old shit is dying and something new is coming. And y'all ain't got to worry about it, because y'all, I ain't going to say that. I'm not going to say that.
Yeah.
He knew what was going on.
See?
But he was so he never separated it like they want to separate everything now, where it has to be them against us. No.
That's right.
I'm a Black man in America, and where I have to wake up every day and live my life in a constant state of fear, for I am going to be murdered or killed at the hands just based upon my skin color.
Yep. And then there's LGBT people and trans women of color who end up having their lives taken away by people who look just like them, who have the same color skin. So, come on now. Come on. Deeper conversations. Because this ain't it.
So, that has nothing to do with who he's sleeping with at night. Nobody cares. He's a Black man.
That's right. That's right.
Okay, so the Black man that, or the man that y'all talking about in this thumbnail who's wearing the thing, he's a Black man who just happens to wear a bunny outfit. Okay. That's one perspective of Blackness, of a Black man. Doesn't overwrite y'all experiences of what y'all want Black men to be. Excuse me. Ooh, shit. Hold on, y'all. Hold on. They have a right to experience life the way they want to experience it too. And once again, Liz, what you just said, a Black man waking up every day living in a state of fear, that Black man has to know how to change his mindset from fear into something that benefits him. Once again, fear-based conversations will not get us anywhere, will promote more fear. Excuse me. It's a water, bitch. Damn. We need to have conversations that speak to the totality of Blackness. Y'all speaking about one perspective of Blackness. Excuse me, damn. Shit.
So, putting things like this in a silo, I mean, basically, okay, the black family has no place in our society anymore.
Wow.
That's what it seems like. And every time you can, I mean, no matter what you're reading, a newspaper, a print magazine, images all over the internet, it's so hard.
Damn.
A black
itchy as a bitch.
And their children. So I got something to show you. I got something that I actually kept, and I'm gonna cut the camera. I'll be right back. I got something to show you. Right quick.
Okay. I'll keep rapping until you get back.
Well, I like that picture, Liz. That looks nice. I like that drawing.
The other thing that I want to bring up is the whole push. The whole interracial push. And I feel that that's something that's another engineered thing in the media, where, just like Sister Elizabeth said, that you cannot show a black man, a black woman, and their children. That's just about a crime now. You can't do that, but you can show that white man. And remember, not only it was a dating service where it was a commercial put out, and correct me if I'm wrong, that this white man and this black woman traced their lineage, and they had a scenario where there was a white man, I guess, was a slave master, and a black woman who was a slave, and somehow they made it seem like they used this dating thing and found true love. In that scenario, where our sisters are getting raped and robbed and just babies cut out their stomach and used like a mule and working from come on, and you're gonna try to romanticize that, and there's no outrage. So the whole swirling thing, everything is to pull apart the black man and black woman. And even on YouTube, you have paid agents who only talk about, we have someone that only say bad things about black men, and they're for the swirling, and the white man's the answer. So what happens when that white man cheats on you, brings home an STD, makes some babies, and beats your ass? What you gonna do? Go with Martians? You find me a Martian to go with now? We have issues in our relationships across the board. Why is it any worse for us? Why do you look at us worse when we have the most pressure on us? When it's hard for us to secure down a way of making a living? Because look, we'll start a business. You think that's easy? Especially when you cannot go after your vision or your dreams when you're worried about survival. Your kids are crying, they need to eat now. There were times I took jobs between jobs just to keep my hands moving. It wasn't paying jack. But I had to tighten up the belt and do what I had to do. I'm gonna do what I have to do kind of guy until I get to where I gotta go.
Okay, now let's talk about that. Let's bring it to the perspective of LGBT. See, when y'all think about gay people and LGBT and sex work and all this stuff, just imagine all the trans women of color that had to resort to sex work because they can't get a job because they're trans. Or they enter into a work environment that is very, very, excuse me, detrimental to their well-being and their safety. And they're already being told that they're demonic, they're evil, they're agents of chaos, they're carriers of all these different type of diseases and shit. So they have to resort to, like you said, do what they got to do. So if that means selling their body to eat, they're gonna do that. They're gonna do that. Now, the question I want to ask is, why do you think they were put in that position to do that? You just think they just woke up and said, well, they did make a decision to do that as far as survival is concerned. But just as every day, oh, I want to go out here and just do sex work. No, they're doing it for a means of survival because there isn't any places that respect them enough to allow them to be who they are in their space and still make money. Now it is. Now we're seeing more representation. Well, I would rather see my trans sisters out here living life and making a legal way of living as opposed to putting their lives on the line. Damn hiccups. Come on, y'all. Y'all need to see once again, this is a fear narrative. Fair perspective.
But I understand how the system works, so I can dodge and dip and dodge and know where to hit you, because I've studied you. So I'm like a ghost when you see me. I'm the nigga that got away. You're back. Show us what you got, sister.
Okay, what I'm going to show you all, ladies and gentlemen, and those of you who will catch the replay. So when I came back to the UAE for work, we have a lot of newspapers in the office. Okay, they still do actual newspapers. And I came across this one. I'm going to show this to you, and this is from November of 2019, and I kept this specifically for a reason. The minute I show it, you're going to know why. All right.
Wow.
What is that?
What's on the front page? What do you see, Lance?
A nuclear black family, parents with the children. Wow. I don't get to see that.
This is on the front page of the newspaper.
Right.
The front page. And they are in color. Am I correct?
Yes, they are. Wow. How'd that one get up? Who got fired for putting that one up?
Listen.
Who lost their job for putting that one up? Because you know that's a no-no.
What?
The topic is why parenting is a consistent art. They talk about parenting being an art form.
It is.
Yeah, it is.
But
Yeah.
on the front page of this is a regional newspaper, meaning all of the countries in this region, this is disseminated daily.
Oh wow! Wait. I see Gulf News. I'm thinking the Gulf of Mexico. No, we talk about. Oh wow!
Yes. So this is not just in, let's say, the UAE. This is the Gulf region, GCC.
Wow!
Okay?
Wow!
Front page.
It's amazing. That's good.
And so I kept that because I said to a colleague of mine, I likely won't ever see this again, so I have to keep this.
Yeah, exactly. It's gonna be a rarity.
It sounds cliche, right? Because you would think,
It's
okay,
true.
well, girl, you don't see this. No,
You're not.
I likely will never see this again. And so this paper will get old, and I have to keep this. I mean, but you think about it, Lance, something so, I don't want to call it minuscule per se, but like this warmed my heart. Something that's just so small as this, right? Maybe, I mean, right now it's almost 2 years old. This is almost 2 years old, and I've kept this.
At the same time, here we are in Ghana, right? And I was about maybe about a mile from where the president lives, okay? And I was in an Uber, LanceScurv and I.
Right.
And I don't know if you can see this, but I had to snap this photo for future use. You know, I don't usually carry out a camera just for photography. I carry a video camera, and the photos I get from my iPhone are very good. And I can
iPhone is amazing.
And bring up the clarity even more. So it's not like a cheap cell phone. I don't know if you can see
iPhones
this,
are amazing.
but this is a billboard that says beauty from within. And it says ENAT for 100. This is a product, I guess they use for the skin. Basically bleaching cream. But here we are in Accra, Ghana. Now, I don't know if you can see. Yeah, you can see it. Look at that, y'all. There's a little reflection. Look at what it says there. Beauty from within. Right? Look at the woman's face. What side do you think that they're saying is the beautiful side? When you live in a country where, right. When you stand out in the sun and you get baked deliciously, right? So what is the
golden brown? Amen.
Look at that. Let's push a little closer. What is the beauty? Look, this is on my cell phone. Look, I took this a couple of days ago, or 2 days ago, right? Or maybe yesterday. I took this yesterday. I noticed things like this. And it's a shame how they're chipping away at us, and this is in the motherland. How many little girls are going to see this? What side do you think she's going to pick as being the beautiful side? Because you have a system here where the lighter is more desirable. Now, if you're right with yourself and you're clean, and I'm going to say it in joke form, right? None of my sisters are ugly, right? I'm not saying that based on their skin color. Right. You know, we have features that, well, you're a nice person, but you may not be a supermodel by any standard. We're not talking European, right? Right. But you can be a high yellow chicken, damn ugly, y'all, and because she yellow, you gravitate toward her. So understand what I'm saying. Right. Right. And you have some of my chocolate sisters that are drop dead gorgeous. Yes. They're so gorgeous. I agree. I could be sitting next to Mrs. Scurv and she knows I'm an artist. She knows I appreciate beautiful visuals. I said, look, Mrs. Scurv, that's a very beautiful woman. And she said, yes, she is. Because I'm not looking at her like, ooh, I want to get with her. Even though she might have a sexy body. It is beautiful. Why don't we appreciate ourselves? So now we have the men that are not going to be there for our women, and we're not going to have that picture that you have on the Gulf News, a newspaper manifesting as much. And then we're going to have the men who are straight, who are going to be going after the more European-looking woman with that standard of beauty. So everything, why is everything to pull us apart? Why? They want us off the earth. If they're not killing us straight up, when they feel they can get away with it, or send us out to war and have us exposed to certain chemicals that will just keep us impotent when we can't procreate, or just give us a life when we live for 2 more years and die under mysterious circumstances. All factions of this engineered world is made to wipe us off the face of the earth. So when you froth at the mouth in church, oh, Jesus! Ain't nothing coming to save you. That's something to distract you and emasculate you from being strong. That's why the black church accepts LGBT males. You know, you have that little choir director or whatever have you, and it's big in the black church, and ain't nobody saying nothing. Yeah, but y'all... Wow. Now, I do agree with you as far as the whole light skin, dark skin thing, because that has been something that... See, once again, we're still dealing with traumas from slavery. We personally are still dealing with the mental and emotional trauma of slavery, right? We as black people are going to have to learn how to love ourselves, and find the gray area of amalgamation due to love. Because once again, all these things that we're hearing now are fear-based narrative, which is why 400, 500 plus years energetically, we still allow other people to do these things to us. When you're really about community, you're going to say, you know what? I'm not going to sit up here and continue to perpetuate the lines of division that they have so strategically placed. If anything, I'm going to use love to erase those lines of division so that we can come together. Because at the end of the day, and this will be the part that kind of irritates me, but I understand we got to get through it. You can't go over, you can't go under, you can't go around. You got to go through it. I understand that. In order for us to get to being humans, because that's what we really are, it's just these things as far as race, sexuality, our social constructs put in place to divide people from knowing who they are, a human family. That's why we have to have conversations and practice empathy to understand people. Because once again, even LGBT people, a lot of us, some of us have had conversations about Hotep and stuff from a fear-based narrative, just like y'all on this particular episode or video are having fear-based narrative and conversations. When both people could come together and face those fears about each other and actually look at the things, bring these things up, and then speak truth to all of them, there also has to be a point to where people are going to believe it or not. Which is why at the end of the day, empathy is important. Because as much as we talk about white supremacy, and yes, white supremacy is a very huge problem, there have been some white people who have understood karmically and energetically what is going to happen because of what their forefathers have done, which is why they also put their lives on the line for the Underground Railroad. Because once again, these people who were part of a privileged class understood their privilege and said, you know what, this is not right, that we're denying people of human rights and the ability to live and have their experience how they want to have it, as long as it's not physically hurting anybody. And even they lost their lives because they were nigger lovers. Once again, it's the love that's going to cover it.
But how can love really be the pinpoint if the pinpoint is on fear? Y'all probably gonna hear a little bit more of this thing. I'm about to grab some more hookah. Hold on.
So some of you pastors and most of you pastors are damn punks. Punks on the fact when you got no balls, you're afraid to speak, and punks when you're getting down on your knees with the rest of the little pink boys and not to pray. You doing stuff too. Blowing in the wind ain't just the wind getting blown in church.
But I had to show this to you because I just said, you know, since we're talking about this, you know, the emasculated black man, I love seeing this. I love seeing this.
Isn't it beautiful?
It is. It is. And
so peaceful, so loving.
And as I age and get into my golden years, I want to keep seeing stuff like this. You know, it is always great to go on to the continent and you see, even just in all of the basic advertisements that are around, it's always people that look like yourself. And for us, you know, growing up in America, that's not something that we always saw. However, if you are a child of the 70s, and let's say you were in your adolescent years, you saw a lot more of the blaxploitation films, and then you would see like beautiful black women on screen, and you know, Pam Grier and stuff like that. But this is just beautiful, and I'm telling you, I had to keep this. I had to keep this. This is just, you know, and I mean, everybody's hair looked like mine, kinky. I mean, I'm loving it. I mean, I am just loving this, and so we are going to become so desensitized to all of the mess that's going on, Lance, that we are not going to be able to look back and see this gloriousness like this, because we're going to see all of this other mess that's being perpetuated, and we're going to forget about this. So I you know, it is, I don't know, all this stuff, but just seeing this family, you know, I knew that you could appreciate that, because as I said, being on the front page, or reading a newspaper that goes to many countries.
Yes.
I mean, unless it's a black newspaper, black-owned newspaper, you like it, you're not going to see.
I'm still here, y'all. I'm just fixing my whole.
You're not. So we have to think about that. So when people want to say, well, there's no agenda and all this, well, okay, well, tell me why they're not showing all these beautiful black folks on the front pages and stuff.
That's right. That's right.
Okay, y'all. What we look. Here's the thing, though, Liz. And I want you to understand this. I'm gonna bring y'all over here since I'm. Hold on. Since I'm fixing this hookah. Listen. We're not gonna sit up here and act about the reality of what's really going on, because I understand y'all want to see this black family, and I do too. Because I'm part of the nuclear black family. I have a mother and father who are still very active in my life, so I understand the nuclear family and having that whole type of unit. But see, there are people that have a nuclear family, but they're missing one important element that really makes it a family, which is love. Because that same love that's with that nuclear family is the same love that's with that black mom, that black woman that got 3-4 kids because the nigga she laid down with wasn't walking in his king shit. So she had to motherfucking step up and boss up in order to do what she gotta do. Is the love not there for her? Or the single father? Because there are men out here that are damn good men, who are damn good fathers, who do what the fuck they need to do to provide. Yes, we need to honor them as well and appreciate them and respect them and cherish them as well. You're absolutely right. We need to do that. But if the love is not there, I forgot what scripture it was that is said in the book of the Bible. Hold on, y'all. Hold on. Let me let this damn dog out because he irritates me. Hold on. It was a scripture that said, damn, I gotta try to find it because I don't want to say it. I kind of want to say it verbatim. But it's something along the lines of, I could have all the knowledge and wisdom in the world and have all this power and influence, but if I don't have love, or if I don't do it in love, I have nothing. And there are black women who are tired of niggas and they bullshit. See, you want to talk about the black family, that I'm gonna need for y'all to get on these heterosexual niggas who like women, who like females, who procreate with females, who want to be exclusively with females, not trans women, but want to be with a biological cisgendered woman. You need to start having conversations with them, okay? This dog about to get on my motherfucking nerves. Oh my God. He is such an attention whore. Hold on 1 second, y'all. Hold on. My bad, y'all. But, I mean, come on, y'all. Like, y'all need to be having conversations with heterosexual men about why they're not showing up as fathers. Because what we're not going to do is sit up here and make this a victim thing, too. Because as much as we as black people have been through, understand that we have one thing that white America will never have. You know what that is? That is the ability to survive no matter what the situation is. We already been to the bottom, so we know what the fuck the bottom feels like. We know what it's been like. So my thing is, y'all having the wrong conversation. Y'all trying to put it on the gays. No, talk to these heterosexual niggas that's out here and don't understand their kinghood, and they out here fucking and sucking and scheming and squirting up in these women and having all these children, and then all of a sudden it's not the baby because now I'm not ready to be tied down because I got my own shit going on. See, y'all need to be having these conversations about the black nuclear family with heterosexual people and understanding why they're fucking up their own relationships. Why this nigga can't commit to the queen that he stuck his dick in. It seems as if though black men just want to have a free pass now. And I understand as black men, we have been through so much, but we have to learn to heal. And one thing black men struggle with is dealing with their emotions. Because dealing with their emotions seems like a feminine thing. It's so weak ass thing. And I understand during slavery, black men, we had to do what we had to do to survive. We didn't have time to think emotionally. But now we've gotten to a place to where now we're able to breathe. We have some things that slaves didn't have before. Now we have opportunities to be able to create spaces. Hold on, y'all. My shit is acting crazy. Okay. Black men who have to heal from their shit so that they can show up as black kings. Liz, you showed that picture about this black family and said you'll never see it again. Well, my thing is talk to these black ass niggas out here who ain't doing shit for their kids so that they can end up being on these papers. Because it ain't the gays that's trying to erase the family. We're trying to be included in the family because a lot of gays were kicked out of their families. So I just need y'all to really make this make sense. And not make sense from an egoic place or a place of pain and hurt, but from a place of being freeing. And you only gonna be free until you free yourself mentally. And once again, black people, we are suffering from, in my opinion, what is known as the ghost of the slave plantation mindset still. Y'all gotta have a deeper conversation, y'all. Y'all trying to point the blame in other places where the blame is not at. And that causes distractions. Because at this point, if it's about blackness, my sexuality shouldn't matter. As long as I'm not here hurting other people or doing anything to fuck people up. Because see, when y'all talk about gay and this and gay and that, it's about the fact of why. Let's talk about it. Why would you want to be gay? Why would you want to be gay? You're already black. Isn't that bad enough? Well, bitch, I'm sorry. The gay part wasn't something that I just fucking asked for. I didn't, bitch, it's a part of my experience. But what I could have done is I could have done what Lance and Liz suggested, which was I could have lived my life quietly. But the fact that black gay men out here making it, it just makes a lot of motherfucking black heterosexual men uncomfortable. And they're under the assumption that I now have to, in order for me to be successful, I have to do this. No, you don't. You know you have the power to create your own space. Me and my family recently, because they in town, watched BMF, Black Mafia Family. I ain't seen no gay shit in there yet. And 50 Cent made this, or produced this. Calling motherfuckers bitch ass niggas. When you think of bitch ass nigga, you think of some soft shit, some gay shit, correct? So black men do create their space. It's a problem when you start to police other black men and how they show up in the world as far as the presentation, not their character. You don't look at their character. You don't look at them of who they are as a person on the inside. You just look at the outward appearance. As long as the outward appearance is okay and you don't really show up as who you are, that's cool. You might as well, you need to live your motherfucking truth, because what's done in the dark is going to come to a light. And when you talk about Eddie Long and all these people, these were people who were self-hating. Same gender loving people. LGBT plus people. These were individuals who were self-hating. And when you hate yourself, you're going to do things that are deplorable. Just like how R. Kelly hated himself, but still was slinging that dick all up in women. So I need y'all to have this conversation from a more nuanced perspective. Okay? Let's go back to this damn video.
Because we know, even back in the day when you had, Lance Jet magazine, when it was in print form, Ebony and Essence, etc. magazine, they always put black images on the covers and stuff. Or when they had products being promoted, you would see the nuclear black family. You're not seeing that stuff anymore. So somebody you can't say that there's not an agenda. There is an agenda that's going on.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we born in 63 and 73, I'm 10 years old, and 75, I'm 13, and Soul Train and the cookouts and the neighborhoods. And, you know, I grew up in Richmond Hill, Queens, which was on the edge of Jamaica, Queens, which I consider the spirit and soul of Jamaica. Because the further away you got from Jamaica, Queens into Richmond Hill, they didn't like you. So I didn't like it being called Richmond Hill. Jamaica, Queens is what I associate with, because that's the direction I would go to hang out with people who look like me. But right where I was, it was a big chunk. They called it South Richmond Hill. And that was a code word for the nigger neighborhood. Because if you tried to order something and say, I live in Richmond Hill, Queens, and they saw the address, oh no, that's South Richmond Hill, but it's Richmond Hill. What's the difference? So they were always with that way, right? But just to be around that energy of us laughing. You know, we had challenges then. We had heroin back then. We had the police brutality back then. We had war going on, but we had all of those things. But you know what we had that we don't have as much now? We had each other. We had each other. And I will tell you, in the time of having each other, there were young men and young women growing up amongst us in our families who were not straight. And guess what? We loved them too.
In the dark.
We loved them too.
In the dark.
We embraced them. We would not have anything happen to any one of our family. And for those of us who
in the dark
had that in our family, whether we knew it or not, we loved them at the end of the day.
In
we
the
might
dark.
have said something, well, better change your ways. You better come on. Some of the elders, come on, get to church and what. Now we know what that's all about. But at the bottom line, at the end of the day, when you mess with any one of our family, you're going to have to pay the consequence. We never refuse.
Okay, so when So when these black men killed trans women of color, I didn't see any outrage. I didn't see, because we're family, right? We care about each other, right? We might pick on each other. Well, if this is a family, this is a narcissistic ass family, because you have motherfuckers that's killing motherfuckers. You don't come back from that. That's one thing to whoop somebody ass, beat their ass. Then yeah, you can have a conversation afterward of reconciliation and then make up for what it is that you've done out of your ignorance and your anger. But these motherfuckers are killing people. There's no coming back from that. So if we're really about, see, that's the thing. Are we really about family? Or are we having our own little conglomerates and our own little groups within blackness? The intersectionalities. And we talk about each other and we judge each other as opposed to be inclusive and bridging the gap. There's a gap because there's something missing. And love and empathy is what's going to bridge that gap. And you say, we love them anyway, but you don't really love them if you're telling them to change their ways because you're thinking of them being gay as something that's nefarious, something that's not normal and all these things. And you try to equate it to drug use. You're trying to equate it based on what you've been taught. Because even when you shared the story about, oh, you're growing up right. So what would have happened if you laughed and looked at the girl's ass and didn't? You grew up wrong. There was something that was missing there. See, it's a lot of this guilt as opposed to loving and affirming. Because when you love and affirm yourself, you'll be able to see the God in everything else. And the God is there. It's just, are you willing to look for the God? And if you can't find a God in other people, you definitely can't find it in your damn self.
In our family.
For real.
At the barbecue, at the cookout. We can go to anybody in the neighborhood when they had a cookout. And if you were on our block, you didn't have to ask. We were polite and kind of slow walk it so they can see us, so they can say, come on in.
Right.
I knew we were getting in.
Right.
It was a magnetism and a vibration in the atmosphere that at the end of the day, when you went home, we were all one. As kids, we had little fist fights, little differences.
Right.
Some of the neighbors were a little envious of each other, and they had issues.
Right.
We had sisters sleeping with some of the men that were on the block around the corner, and some of the men do whatever. We had all of those things, and we knew it. But we had a code of honor and a code of ethics on how we acted. You did not come around there and disrespect any one of us, no matter what we had going on in our families, our collective family. There were 39 houses on my block of 134th Street in Richmond Hill, Queens, 2 blocks off the Jamaica borderline where the Van Wyck Expressway separated that. Many of you who have gone to New York, when you go through Kennedy Airport and you drive up the highway, you're passing right by where I lived to get to Manhattan. And on that street, 134th between 105th and 107th Avenue, there were 35 houses facing in. We knew everybody in the next blocks and over on the other side. But I had been in every single house growing up. There's always been a cookout. There's always been an event. There's always been a kid who played, and we would go in, all right, good morning, Mr. So-and-so. Is there anything I can help you with? And they were allowed to correct us. They were allowed to go, what they say is snitching now. It wasn't snitching. It was an honorable thing, looking out for you, even if you didn't like it at that time.
Understandable.
That's the world I come from.
Understandable.
That's why I speak the way I do.
Right.
Because it saddens me to see how far off the mark we are right now.
Yeah.
We've let another ideal from a sick, parasitic people permeate our minds and turn us against each other, where we're seeking what they give that's poison for our soul, as though that's the way we're going to survive and go into the future. We need to turn in on each other with love.
Yeah.
We are damaged. We are damaging each other even more so by seeking what that enemy gives, because he don't love us. The only time they come for us is when they want us to fight their wars, serve their needs, or use our black asses for pleasure.
Right. I agree.
Other than that, they don't want us.
I agree with that.
This way in 2021, and we got to stop marching because they don't want us. And for the black men to be vaporized, it made it extinct and taken off the planet. It's going to start with us. And sisters, you're going to catch it too. But they can use you for a little something after the midnight hour because you have become the booty of war. And when we call ourselves booty, When we call our sisters booty, we're admitting that we're a conquered people. Look up the word booty in a dictionary. I'm not talking about ass cheeks.
Amen for the
but
ass
it's
cheek,
common
though.
language that we accept. And we say it, they laugh. Ah, look at that. They even saying their booty. We're calling their women booty too. Let a Jewish man, when's the last time you heard a Jewish man refer to his wife as booty? You can't even get near them. If you go to a Jewish market, the Jewish neighborhood, and you as a black man walk near that woman, they on point. They watching you. You don't even have to be that man's wife. They're not even letting you get near that bad boy because they are protected. They're layers of protection. I'm not saying they're better than us, but the way they act toward their own is better. And a lot of them are doing the same things undercover, but they don't expose their frailties and their dysfunctions to the world.
What? Okay, well, if we're talking about dysfunctions, let's be glad that dysfunction is being exposed, because now is an opportunity to try to like kind of figure out what's going on so that we can fix it. Because I do agree with you. As black people, like I said, we're still trying to figure out and build the foundation of blackness within us, because we came from a place where we knew who we are and was given a false identity. But once again, when we're talking about love, we're talking about sexuality. These are also divine expressions of love. Y'all think of LGBT, because that's the only thing I'm speaking about right now, LGBT as buck breaking. That is rape. You're talking about people who raped them, and they didn't rape them because they were sexually attracted to them, and maybe there's some who were, but once again, they used it against consent. They raped these men and said, bitch, if you say anything, I will kill you. And it was also another tactic to employ their dominance over people. You cannot equate that with same gender loving people who come together consensually, who know what's going on and that love is involved. But once again, those realities don't exist. And if those realities exist, as far as the gay family members and all this stuff, once again, it's the keep it behind closed door, because y'all think the homosexuality is a dysfunction. But I love you anyway. And that's your perspective. And that's okay. But when the gay person loves himself and then the universe starts supporting him and starts blessing him because he loves himself, maybe it's a sign that black people need to do that too. Because we talk about power and influence. There are so many black people right now, black heterosexual men and women that have money, power, and influence. And what are they doing for the community? Again, are we talking about community or are we talking about superiority? Like I said, I know Lance has that community spirit in him, and I believe that. And yes, he is very wise in his ways, but that does not mean that he does not mean that he knows everything. And the perspective that he has about LGBT people as a broad viewpoint is obscured. Now, if you're just talking about the people in positions of power who are evil at their core because of fear and based, and they believed in the fear, and the fear has not become their identity. If you're talking about them, then okay, talk about them. Talk about the ones that's actually hurting people. But then you'll have to also understand that there are LGBT people who are older as well, who do not, quote unquote, support the narrative that you're putting out in reference to their being subscribing to an agenda, who genuinely want to just live their best life. And even LGBT people of color still trying to figure out who they are in reference to bridging the gap between their sexuality and their blackness. Come on, y'all. Come on. Meow.
Playboy bunny outfit. Why don't we throw it back at him and draw a Hasidic Jew with a cap and little dreads and one on his knees sucking the next one's dick? How about that in the cartoon form? Put images out about them. Why do we gotta be the dookie stick for all their decadence?
The dookie stick.
When you want to move it out the way you play in the street and you break off a branch and move the doo-doo out of the way for the dog and throw away the stick. It's so complex, and I want to go back to my world again. There's enough of us out here where we can come together. We still gonna have a little jealousy. We still gonna have people gossiping. We know we messed up. It took us hundreds of years to be made to be this way. It's gonna take that much long, if not longer. But if you're going in the wrong direction, you're doomed for good, because you will never taste the upbringing that I tasted and the world that I tasted. See?
But then you have to also understand that world, because once again, God is in everything. It's about your viewpoint and your perspective and how you look at it. That's what really changes things for people. It's your perspective and how you look at it. That same love, as far because there was a point in time where blackness was building a strong foundation of a monolith. During the 70s, oh, people came together. It wasn't about light skin, dark skin. Bitch, it was about rock your afro, rock your beautiful crown, young king, rock your beautiful crown, my young queen. All came together and stood in blackness. We focused on blackness. And then they destroyed it. But see, God's love, grace, and mercy shows up in all different ways to cover people. It may not be in the way that you're used to. But once again, this is another opportunity for you to evolve and grow in love, to see the love in the hurt, to see the love in the pain, to see the message in the mess. And you have been doing that, Lance, because I'm not going to sit up here and say that you haven't. You've been putting in this work. But once again, like you said, we're still fucked up. So we still have fucked up perceptions and views. We don't know everything. If we knew everything, we wouldn't be in the position that we're in now. So now, instead of being exclusive because of LGBT, there needs to be an opportunity to be inclusive. Because we're going to be able to breathe that. Individuals like myself are going to be able to bring things to the table that y'all probably didn't think about then. But the conversations, then again, creates the gray area where everybody gets to see it. Where we can stop looking at sexuality and just start seeing blackness. And just that sexuality is just an intersection of blackness. Because that's what it is. Because even in Africa, before colonization ever happened, we thrived in knowing who we were. And there were same gender-loving people there, kings, queens, warriors, who did these things as well. Because like you said, this is nothing new under the sun. It's just that y'all was used to it being in the dark. And in the dark is where y'all wanted it to be. But now it's coming out into the light. And you're going to have to deal with it. It is what it is. It's in your face. Now, the perspective of how you view it, which then goes forward in reference to the future and how you go about manifesting that, that is dependent on you. But once again, if you look through the lens of love, it doesn't just include you. It includes everybody else too that might be different from you. It's about how about I get to know you, know your character. What did Martin Luther King say? I wish for, I had a dream. Lord, I am tired too. I have a dream that one day my children will not be judged by the color of the skin, but the content of their character. Judge them by the content of their character, not by the stereotypes that you see. Educate yourself. You're going to have to go into the darkness to understand the darkness. People are afraid of darkness. Excuse me, didn't God, according to the narrative of the Bible and all these other books, didn't God create something out of darkness? Because darkness is the blank slate. Are you clear enough in your mind to create something beautiful out of darkness? Because there are some things that are beautiful that grow in darkness too. Once again, showing the totality of God's source, universe, Allah, whatever you call it, the totality of that love. We got to raise our perspective and our viewpoints and our consciousness to a higher level that transcends all these lines of division. And Lance, I know it's in you, but you just need help bringing that out. And I'm here to help bring that out. At least I'm going to try my best to put my perspective in to help bring forth the amalgamation of solutions, as opposed to the amalgamation of foolishness and fuckery that we've all, despite sexuality, despite gender expression, under the Black dysphoria, under the Black community, have experienced collectively.
My pain every day. And that's what I want to bring back on this platform. And you're part of that, listen, Benny. You bring me that soul. You bring me that love. You jokingly chastise me. Negro, you're always late. Negro, you're always... And I love it because it's love.
Yeah.
Time I came to meet you when you came to Ghana, and I was like, I'm going to be on time. And, I'm always late, messing up something, whatever have you. And you're like, Negro, where are you? I'm like, I'm right here outside the gate. And you're like, okay, I got you on that one. You know what I mean? So anyway, it's a love thing. And you're my family and I love you. Right. And I'll always back you. And that's what we have to do for each other. But you ain't going to come with no other agenda. Come over here flaming and talk about something else and your white boyfriend and you a man. Come on, man. It's not going to work. And if I keep I'm going to, if it's just three of us, we're going to shut everything out and we're going to enjoy ourselves. And I got to go back to the 70s. If I had to give up my cell phone, give up the computer, give up YouTube, let me go back into the time. And half of y'all want to go back anyway. Because what y'all watch on YouTube?
Okay, and I appreciate that, and I understand the wisdom and all that stuff that came from that. But where is the evolution? Where is the evolution? Now, maybe we got to deal with the past, accept the past, heal from the past, so that we can be present in the present moment to build the future that we want. Maybe that's what we need to do. But going back to these old ways is not going to serve, because now something newer is being called. And this is energetic and spiritual, which is why we have to continue to walk through love, because love is going to cover all the ugly, nasty, ignorant things that we all in this community experience with each other. Because I'm ignorant on some things. I don't know everything either. But I do know about my life experience, and my life experience also includes my sexuality, which is same gender loving. But because that is my experience, or part of my experience, that should not be devalued either. That should be not pushed to the side either. Because you don't get half of me, you get all of me. All this comes with my blackness, because once again, it's the intersections of blackness, and even the smallest part of the community is very important. You build a bridge and you forget a fucking lug nut. It may not seem catastrophic in the beginning, but after a while, after all that traffic that has gone across this bridge has been going on for weeks, months, years, that bridge is going to collapse. Why? Because there's a weak point in there. You're going to need all the parts. And like I said in my last video that I did, the part 1 of this, y'all going to have to also understand that y'all can't choose and be picky about who you want in this fight. If it's black, it's black. If it's up, then it's stuck, right? So if it's black, then it's black. So let's focus on the blackness and show white America that amidst all of these lines of division that we have, baby, we're working through love, which is why we're able to come together, because we're stronger, united. It's easier to conquer when we're divided. But what I also want black people to understand too, especially out of my hotel brothers and sisters and black conscious brothers and sisters, is that when you speak ignorantly about LGBT people of color and you don't include their experiences or allow them the opportunity to share their experiences, not saying you can't challenge some of their experience, but also have an open mind to learn and receive from their experiences too, because it's a part of fact. Once we start doing that, then that's when real change will happen. They want us to be what we're doing now, dividing each other based off of sexuality, as opposed to being educated on sexuality, how fluid sexuality really is, and actually grow and evolve to be better people. That's what we need to do.
No, I know that. It's a lonely world right now when you're a real black person from the inside. I'll shut up. I'm coming.
No, it is, because the masses of us melanated folks are not as clear-minded as we used to be.
Wow.
And I remember,
I
may have been my moderator mentioned this, and she said this before. I think she just said it in your chat as well. Is that back then we were more unified by the instance of fear, and now that they have pulled that back, we are more likely to be doing what we're doing now, and that may be partial and part of it. But I feel like that everything that we couldn't have before, since we feel like we can have it now, we're like, okay, well, forget all of that unity and community stuff. I'm going to get what I couldn't get before, and so we're just letting everything else by the wayside.
Right.
Because our sense of community is not, just like what you said, it is no longer what it used to be. Especially those of us that come from the West. It just not. It's just not. We could care less about our neighbors, although we sit up and go to these places of worship and say that we're taking care of our neighbors. No, you're not. You're not taking care of your neighbors. You all are full of mess. Okay?
Yeah.
We know better.
Yeah.
We know better.
Yeah.
So just in unison, no, we don't have that anymore where we're looking out for one another if somebody can't pay their rent. They used to have rent parties. So you grew up in the era of rent parties. parties, people couldn't pay their rent. Maybe somebody lost their job and stuff. Who's throwing rent parties now? Somebody lose their home and they just lose their home. So all of those community benefits and things.
Yeah.
You know, we're not doing that anymore.
You're right.
And
you're right. You're absolutely right, Liz.
A lot of it started too. When you think about when you had the black family in the 60s and the 70s, and people were being still laid off from their jobs, and you had the mother could have been laid off from her job too. Well, when they came in here and ushered in a lot of these different welfare programs, they said, okay, well, you can't have the man in the house. Well, we both were laid off. Why can't my husband be in the house with me if we both were laid off? I mean, that just makes no sense. Right. We both pay into the taxation system. Why would he have to go? But a lot of the women accepted that, okay, yeah, I'll take it so I can go ahead and make ends meet to do X, Y, and Z. And didn't realize the injustice of that in terms of moving the man from the home. And so now you got this mess that we're in today where you have a lot of us black women would rather be someone's baby mama than to be someone's wife.
And queen, right.
That is the mere
Here go the picture again, y'all. I'm screaming.
We have lost our way in terms of community. We have lost.
And they using the wrong. And here's the thing too, y'all using the wrong picture of the person who is on this damn portfolio. This is not Britman Rock. Britman Rock is a Filipino man. The person y'all have is somebody who is clearly not him. So if y'all gonna talk and make a whole, if y'all going to speak about the Playboy, this not even the nigga that was on the Playboy issue. This not even the individual that you put on the screen that is actually on the cover, who has joined the ranks of Dolly Parton and some other bitches on the Playboy magazine. This is clearly another person, a gay man, who decided that he wanted to show a photo shoot of him being in it. And now y'all have turned this, and y'all not even using the exact picture from the Playboy magazine. Wow.
You know,
wow.
Some of the stereotypes and things that do go on, yes, they are perpetuated by men as well. So it's not only just the woman's fault. I mean, everybody who's in the game, we all complicit in the game. We all are complicit in the game. We all are. And so we go from one strategic move in terms of diminishing the capacity of the black man. We just keep moving on, and it just gets more and more egregious. And now we can change it up with the new Playboy bunny suit. Now you men folk can go and get y'all a new costume for Halloween.
Okay, y'all acting like men have to wear this shit. Y'all acting like niggas have to wear this. Because the only motherfuckers that I know that's going to wear this shit is gay men and men who are comfortable within themselves. That's the only one I can think of. You do not have to wear the suit. You can still go as Halloween as Black Panther. You can still go as Halloween as Israelite. You can go as goddamn Terminator. You have a choice in what you want to wear. Understand that. My God.
Halloween parties and stuff, don't you?
It's needed, Lord, in some way to have conversation. I guess we got to talk about it.
I mean, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. I mean, I don't know what to say. Except these are the conditions that we have come to let be perpetuated upon us, and we accept them. And then they want to come back around and say, well, there's no agenda, and you're not as clear-minded as you think you are. Well, that's you. I'm very clear-minded.
Yeah, you're clear-minded, but when it comes to LGBT, not really so much. Not really so much. Everything else, I hear it. It makes sense. It does. When it comes to and it's not because I'm saying you're the loving. I mean, that's my experience. So therefore, I mean, y'all are speaking about what people have talked about, and I'm speaking about what it is that I actually experience. So are we going to believe the words of the people who have the he say, she say thing going on, the game of telephone? Or are we going to actually factor in facts about LGBT people that are fruitful and life-giving, as opposed to just having these very life-taking, life-destroying conversations around LGBT. And once again, we're not talking about white LGBT. We're talking about LGBT people of color. Because not all of black is heterosexual. Not all is white is heterosexual. That's the majority, but that's not going to be the totality. Gay people, yes, we going to have to do better because we have our own bullshit as well. But y'all got some work to do, and more so work than us. I'm just going to say that.
Like that.
I'm being honest.
I got some other games to play in it, but it won't be that game.
I know it won't.
It won't be that game. Okay.
Exactly. And we can't bend. When our children see us bend, see, look, like I always had this theory, which I feel is fact. The stronger the personality that you have in this world is the more powerful an orgasm was for your parents when they made you. And we don't have strong orgasmed kids anymore. It's like, remember the personalities in the black community coming up. What? Those old men who always seemed like they were cranky, but they weren't cranky. They didn't even like to see the little bit of changes that were going on, and it's not even that bad. And I would always say to myself, why that man always looking so evil? But he was the guy who slipped you a dollar or two or whatever, asked your parents first, and slipped you a little money. He gave you the hookup, he bought you the ice cream, whatever. But otherwise, he was sitting up there, looked like he was angry. Because he saw certain changes around that very volatile time that he may have envisioned this coming. Come on. Francis Cress Welsing saw it all and wrote it all out. We have prophets and women who are prophets, men who are prophets who see it. They're not caught up. They live very selfless and ego-free, and like the sentinel on top of the mountain in eternal war, looking over the mountainside to see if the enemy was coming. He sacrificed his sleep or her sleep so that the rest of the warriors can sleep at night.
Right.
And even though he had to fight sleep looking over, he knew it would be a sure death if he fell asleep on the post. Why have so many of us, as the remaining straight black men who are about a straight black family, and the black family, it's not just like a black man thing. They try to paint that when they pay their agents to talk bad about us. Really, it's because we're about the family.
Really? Lance, I know you're about the family. I know you are. But once again, if we're going to have this conversation about accountability and all this stuff, there needs to be accountability in reference to heterosexual black men standing up and actually healing from their shit so they can be black men and be black fathers to their children. And maybe I'm ignorant. Maybe I haven't seen much of that. But I feel like I'm not alone when I say I haven't seen much of that. Maybe the black men who are standing up and being black men and being black men to their children need to continue to help elevate other black men who are also in that role to be fathers. And you're talking about strength. Listen, when you can walk in a world that opposes you and still say, I'm here, that's a level of strength. So much to the point to where a lot of these quote unquote heterosexual niggas will fuck around in the dark. Why? Because it's a dark. Ain't nobody gonna see it. We use the analogy about the nigga on the street that you know is gay, and or the cousin in your family that you know is gay, but he got that one friend and they had a barbecue at their house, and you spend the weekend at his house, and he always with him, and he never with a female, and all that type of stuff. It's okay if it's done in the dark. No, you was talking about the cookouts and the family cookouts. Y'all gonna go to the family cookout at y'all gay cousin house with his gay friends? Are y'all gonna come to the cookout then? Or will you not show up because he's gay? Let's ask those questions. Because this whole thing of, oh, we love them, it's one thing to say it. Y'all got to show it. to show, and I ain't talking about in a dysfunctional way where I get to talk about you, but can't nobody else talk about you. No, don't talk about me in the first fucking place. How about that? Y'all gonna have to do better. Y'all are gonna have to do better also. Y'all not excluded. If we all gonna do better, we all gonna have to do better.
The family. Not some watered down, twisted up shish kebab bad boy that on the front end we tolerate everything and make a way. No! What happened when you misbehaved when you were younger? You were told what it was that you did. No, this is the right way. You didn't compromise that. There's no compromise. We're not raising strong troopers. We're going to go out there in the world as men and raise strong families and stand tall and say, no, this is not going to go in my household. If you want to do that, you go on and do your own and get your own.
Yeah, and a lot of Black LGBT people have been kicked out of their homes and been put on the street. Parents kicking their children out of their own ignorance. Not even really for the children, because if you really love the child, you would try to understand the child. You wouldn't kick the child out. And when you actually kick these children out, you actually place them in the hand of predators. Because now they're in a very vulnerable moment of not even feeling worthy, because not even my own family is willing to love me past their ignorance. There is no place, a safe space for LGBT people in the Black community at large. That is the problem. You already talking about how hard it is to be a Black man and all this stuff. Why would you continue to perpetuate the stereotype of making it even harder by even kicking them out the house when they even have to deal with the ideal of their sexuality, and not just for themselves, but what other people around them is going to believe and perceive about them, based off the ignorant information that has been perpetuated throughout the Black community? Y'all will have to really, and I mean really make it make sense. Because yeah, Black people, we are in a fucked up position. But if we keep blaming other people as opposed to healing ourselves and finding the love for ourselves, we are going to continue to contribute to the downfall of the Black community. And if it's going to be about love, you got to be about it. Love is the hardest thing to be about, because it's about challenging your own ego, willing to listen to somebody else, to understand somebody else, and to find the love and common part. And maybe it's just a respect. Because to be honest, you don't need to agree, accept, condone. That would be the totality of love. But I understand that there are such huge leaps and bounds that some people just can't make, and that's okay. Some people have to work a little bit slower, and that's all right. We love even the slower ones. Love even covers them. But there is a change, and there is something different happening. And this change is needed. It's the energy that is manifesting these things to challenge the community in us. If we about community, then really be about community. And guess what? Gay is part of the community. It's part of it, y'all. Whether you want to believe it or not, accept it. Whether you want to or not, it's the reality. Now, we can go forward in this present moment to finding the gray area and the bridge between these lines of division and find the amalgamation of community. Or we can continue to do what we've been doing for so long, just talking about each other, making up shit about each other, speaking about each other through our hurt and pain, or we can work it out. Y'all choice. Well, really our choice, but it's also y'all choice too.
But we're going to live a life of principle. No household is perfect, but we're going to strive for perfection. Just because we'll never be perfect doesn't mean we can't reach for perfection, because if we reach for it, we'll be better incrementally every single day.
Yes, so it's not really perfection, it's improvements. Practice don't make perfection. Practice makes improvements, because there's going to always be an area to grow. There's going to always be an opportunity until you draw your last breath. And y'all got some learning to do too. But that's okay. Because there's people like myself, Conscious TV, YB Entertainment, Hope Giselle, Joseph Williams, so many others that are willing to educate. We here. Are y'all ready to have the real transformative, transparent conversation is the question. And I ain't talking about a conversation based on fear. I'm not talking about a conversation based on intimidation. I'm talking about a conversation based on love.
First thing I just, well, you know, I know we're not. We'll have pre-production. But we can always try to get better. You know me. I might be late to a meeting or two, or can't return a phone call, or mess up, whatever. But I'm about this life. If I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it all the way. Not just for a video. I'm like this all the way through.
Yeah, same here.
People don't know me. Something wrong with him. He always angry. I've become the angry guy. But I'm not angry. I love the community.
They want to say the woman's angry, the black man's angry. No.
Well, should we be pleased with the way the world is doing? No, somebody's got to say something. I'll just let this happen. I'm going to just leave my door open and let people walk and get on my equipment, just walk out, and I'm all right with that. No, you can't come in here with that. We got to draw the lines. They draw the lines. They push the lines on us and squeeze us up even more. Now we you won't be able to get your paycheck or keep a job if you don't do it. This is my body. I was born free, wasn't I? But we know that we weren't under their system. But on the divine system, we're born free. So we got to fight for that.
Exactly. And you know how you fight for that? By doing the one thing that they won't do. Love. You're talking about a white supremacist patriarchy that is devoid of love for everybody else. But what these toxic conversations are doing when there's not any nuance or contrast to bring forth balance to this conversation, it actually contributes to what it is that they want us to do, which is to continue to divide. Which is why on the smaller scale, we can't wait for white supremacy or the majority, because America is the majority is white. We cannot wait for the majority to start loving themselves so they can love us. No, we got to start loving ourselves so we can learn to even love them past their shit. Because black people, even though we're going through this stuff, all these things are being torn down because something new and better is going to be created for all of us. That even includes the enemies. Because the enemies are just enemies because they're devoid of love. But when you give them that real, true, genuine spiritual love that transcends all this shit and hits the nerve and hits the spirit in a way and plants seeds in their mind of love, then they can become more inclusive. Because love is inclusive. Love is inclusive. Christ, Buddha, all these different influential spiritual people all over the globe always operated in love, which included everybody. We have to get to that. And until we get to that as a whole or at large, we're not going to change. Because once again, you're trying to love people, but love them through this lens of the smallest viewpoint of white supremacy. No, just love. Love blackness and the intersectionalities of blackness. Now, I'm not saying not to monitor people and to challenge their character and to challenge their spirit and try the spirit by the spirit. I'm not saying to do that. Because there are some black people who are problematic and who are so lost in their ego to where it appears that they're, what's the word I'm looking for? That they're reprobate, that there's no change. But you got to apply that love, because those people, when they applied that love for real, and actually included them in love, it was able to change them for the better. Those are what we have to do. Those are the conversations we need to have, which includes both parties, not just one side, but both parties to come in and talk this out, because we own this planet together. Our experience is validated because God allowed us to be here. So we have a reason, a purpose to be here. Now, as far as us enjoying this experience together, it's all up to us. We have to make that choice.
It's not going to be easy.
You damn right it's not.
Being born wasn't easy. It was a struggle for both parties. And most of us, when we came out the womb, there was a white man that smacked us up against our head. That should have told us what kind of world we're coming into.
But it also told you to come into a world where now we have the power to change things too. Because the hope and the dream of the slave has to manifest. And even during slavery, there were progressional things. Harriet Tubman ass going to the north. You know how many motherfucking niggas was scared to go to the north because of what would happen if we step outside of this box? But she did it. And she could have been in her ego and said, fuck y'all. I told y'all to come. Y'all ain't want to come. That's on y'all. But she had so much self-love in herself that she was able to go down again and again and again to bring forth that change and live to a very long age. She didn't have to die like so many of our leaders had to. At this point, it's going to take all of us, including LGBT people of color. We have a place at the table as well. And if we don't want to make the space at the table now, y'all gonna make a space for the table later. And instead of getting to the later, let's deal with it now so we can work together now, because we're black, right? The outside don't even look at the sexuality. They just see the blackness. Because whether you gay, out loud and proud as a black person, if you go into a white space, they're gonna see you as black. First, point blank in the period.
True. You know, it is unfortunate in terms of how the way of this agenda is being pushed globally. And because we know it's globally, if I see it, you sit right there and Donna and look.
So homosexuality has been here since the beginning of time all over the globe, and it's pushed globally now, but it was here since the beginning of time. So how can something be pushed that was already here since the beginning of time? There's nothing new under the sun, right? It's just the representation of it is different. That's all. It's just that instead of being in the background, instead of being in the dark, now it's given a chance to actually be in the light. And of course, when you're in the light, you're going to be evaluated, of course. I mean, being in light is going to bring all that. I mean, even not flies, but even certain insects and shit is drawn to light. But it gives a chance for the light to be, the person in the light to be checked out and to see if they're walking in truth or not. Or not.
What's going on in recent months with these flags and things. And they act like that we're not paying attention.
Is it flags or flags? Okay.
Yeah. You know, and we're paying attention. Maybe there's a small number of people who recognize what is going on in terms of the usherance that's coming in. I think one of the final thoughts I will say is this. Lance, what do they think is going to happen if you no longer have men and women procreating to keep the population going? How are they going to survive? They can't survive.
That's right. That's true.
I can't survive without a man, and you can't survive without a woman. That is the reality.
Well, spiritually speaking, you came into this world by yourself. You're going to leave this world by yourself. So you really came in with everything that you need. You don't need nobody if you're liberated within. But it's now about building a community of liberated people who first liberated themselves. Then we can build upon the foundation. But we got to establish the foundation first. This whole thing, I don't know what this whole goddamn fear-ass fantasy, okay, that people have about procreation and all this stuff happening. Excuse me. Black people is fucking. Black people are fucking. So much to the point to where they're fucking and leaving women by themselves with the kids. 4 or 5 kids. So I don't think this whole thing about the black population being destroyed through homosexuality is going to actually be something, because y'all gonna still fuck. Y'all still gonna have kids. So can we please stop this whole narrative of the black community going to be eradicated? We've been here. We've been through so much shit and we still surviving. It's our energy and our spirit that keeps us here. I'm not saying that our numbers aren't dwindling, but to sit here and say that gays are a part of that, that is plausible. Is it? Let me make sure I'm saying the right word. Hold on. Make sure because I want to make sure, because I think plausible. Let me see. Because I might be using the wrong word. Hold on. Plausible. What is the antonym, not synonym of this? Where we at? Not plausible. That wasn't the word I was trying to use. What's the is it antonym? Well, it's not plausible, it's farce. I'm sorry. It's not plausible, it's farce. This whole thing about the black community in reference to LGBT dwindling down the numbers, that's farce. It's not true. Where is the statistics about this? Now I see statistics about Planned Parenthood. I've seen that. But also, we have to hold these men accountable. Before you stick your dick in a female, put on a condom, nigga. If you're not ready to commit your life to this woman, if you don't see this woman as your wife, then wear a contraception. Wear something to protect yourself so that you don't have a child that you're not prepared to take care of. That's the problem, too. Y'all worried about the children, but there are children right now, literally, who are struggling with PTSD because they in gangs and see motherfuckers being shot and killed. Y'all not doing the real work. Y'all not doing the real work. Come on now. Y'all got this fantasy that I've heard since I was young. And there's a lot of children being born and brought into this world.
Of the sexes. So if you eliminate the male and female from replicating, what are they supposed to do? There's not going to be any more of them either.
Liz. Wow.
Mm-hmm. Wow. I don't know if people not thinking about that. So, yeah, good final thought. True. What do you think?
Same exact thing. All I can say is ditto. You said it right there. They want us off the face of the earth, but it's almost like a jealousy, you see, because their numbers are diminishing. You see?
True.
It's a sort of
true.
karma.
Yeah.
It's a sort of poetic justice.
Yeah.
That one who has come to this planet, whether they were born here or come from somewhere else. But all I know is that the sun loves me. The sun nourishes the plants that nourish me.
Right.
The sun feeds and undergirds every living creature on this earth.
Correct.
But the sun burns them. The sun don't like that.
Interesting.
The sun doesn't see them as being natural. When you open up your windows, when you clean your house and let the sun on in, you can dust a little bit, but the sun is the best way, the best antiseptic, the best thing to clean out some of those germs that are surviving there.
That's true.
So that tells you something. And with them being 9% of the world population, a fact that they never say, but they call us minority just in that little place there called America, right? Just telling you something. They're like that little jealous kid that knows it's going to be scolded and wants to implicate you in every little devilment that they did, so you get on punishment too.
Yeah.
So they don't have no problem with opening up all these abortion clinics in our neighborhoods and encouraging us to kill off our own.
Right. But we also have to encourage black men that if you want to fuck these females, if it feels good in the pussy, nigga, put a condom on just to be safe. If you're a woman and you feel like you're not in a position to have children right now because you're still getting your shit together, take something to prevent you from having kids until you are ready. Because that's the problem. You have a lot of people out here who are having kids who are not ready to have kids. But all of a sudden, we're worried about the kids. But you're not teaching these people how to be parents to the children that they've created. And this whole thing with gay and procreation, yes, two men cannot come together and procreate. Two women cannot come together and procreate. We know this. Okay, we understand that. But it does not mean that gay men and gay women are not able to procreate and still bring life into this world. It may not be in the conventional method. And there are still heterosexual women, cisgender women who are unable to have children. They have to look at different alternatives in order to bring life into this world for themselves as well. We have to stop with this limited thinking and actually do the research. There are still other ways to bring life into this world. How about loving the life when it's in here? Fuck about bringing it to the world and shit. Are you going to love the life that you created? Are you going to love the child that you created, the entity that you have helped create the shell for this spiritual being to have a natural experience? Are you going to love it like it was loved before it came here? That's the real question. Y'all worried about the children, but don't even know how to deal with the children once they're here. Make it make sense.
They have no problem with denying us employment, but we should set up and support our own thing so we don't need them for anything. So if we can't support, well, and we can't pay for that child under the law, and that young lady gets mad or whatever, you don't have this presence of mind. He's on child support, can't pay, he's locked up. Everything in this society is pulling on us for our own doom. We don't understand it, but we're running into the trap even more. Thinking we'll find some type of salvation for ourselves, even those who are thinking selfishly and not for the collective. If it happens to the least of us, which there are no least of us, I'm saying that by their status in their world, right? Because I'm no better. When I worked in prisons and jails, I tell the brothers, listen, I'm just one arrest away from being up inside here like you. I feel the same way about this world that you do, and I had the same temptations to smash somebody in their face, knock them out, slit their throat because it had got on my nerves, but I had to hold that because I know within me there's a spirit that needs to continue, and I need to impart what's inside of me to the younger folks and to the other folks and just motivate everybody with what I have to offer before I go. And there's a sperm inside of me that's for the future, and it's part of my DNA that's in me from the past. So I'm a crucial element. This world wants to reduce how we feel about each other, how we feel about ourselves, self-hate. And we do the job for them. So there's a lot that we have to impart. It's a very complex.
So if we know this, why are we still having these fear-based conversations? Maybe we need to have these fear-based conversations so that we can have true conversations that bring real clarity and totality, the totality of clarity, so that we can get to a point of loving ourselves and looking past these labels that are placed on us. Because like I said, if there was a place for LGBT people of color to thrive in the Black community, then there would be no need for us to have to create our own community, because the LGBT community is created of people who had to make their own community because the bigger community, which was the Black heterosexual community, didn't have a space for us where we felt safe and felt like we were part of the Black community. But you want our Blackness, but push our sexuality into a closet. No, we are a 2-for-1 deal. We come with the whole thing. You come either whole or nothing. And like I said, in the space that we are as far as the Black people now, we can't afford to be pushing other people out based on their sexuality. Now, I'm not saying not to judge their character. Of course, judge their character. But to just judge them based on their sexuality alone is actually contributing to what white supremacy want us to do for them. So we're going to have to moonwalk and backflip a little bit and change the trajectory and course of where we're going. Because a lot of our Black brothers and sisters, both straight and gay, and plus, trans, all that, everybody, there are people in all different parts of the intersectionality of Blackness that is willingly or unwillingly supporting white supremacy through, once again, talking about each other, judging each other, as opposed to having conversations with each other.
Situation that we're going to continue to talk about from so many different angles. It's like that spool of thread that's so tangled up. When you try to do it quick and get a fast answer to pull out the knot, it's knots up even more. You have to find out where the end of it is. Look at that one part and start by pulling that out. Okay, I got this part. I pull it out this way. It took time to get there. It's going to take time.
But then there's also people who have actually spent time doing that, and they were able to find an easier way to get that knot done. There are tips and tricks that could be implemented to help expedite some things. Now, some people might enjoy taking the time to look at it and pick it apart and all that stuff, and those people are imperative. They're needed too. But there are also people who can understand what's going on, see what's going on at the problem, and say, oh, this is why it's tangled. Well, let's try it another way, a different way. And oh my God, it was a lot easier than the old way. We thank God for the old way, because if it wasn't for the old way, for those behind us, we wouldn't have the platform to stand on where we are now. But there's always an evolution. There's always a next step that's being taken. And what I'm saying is that in those steps, LGBT people of color have been implemented in that as well. But what LGBT people of color at large are saying, or the individuals who feel the way that I feel, is that there is no safe space for us to be. You can't expect us to enjoy our blackness when we can't even enjoy the totality of our whole lives because of your misperceptions. And see, y'all are viewing homosexuality through the lens of white. We're not talking about white gay men. We're not talking about white lesbian women and trans men and women. We're talking about black LGBT people who have to also, they're also trying to understand their blackness as well as understand their sexuality in a world that doesn't support any of those. So we're all in the mix trying to figure it out. But going back and forth with each other, trying to outsmart each other in an egoic way because we don't want to be wrong, but actually have those conversations saying, you know what, you're right, and really digging at that and really going into the depths of that, that's when we can start to destroy the foundations of the lines of division that keep us so separated.
Rectify ourselves, and in the meantime, those of us who know, let's enjoy life as we've always known it, and show that joy as a shining example that will feed the other people to say, I ain't getting this in the European system. You're having a good way. You know how to budget your money. You don't have to push things a certain way. You carry yourself with respect. You need to shine out all of the characteristics that we want to see in the world instead of following behind it. Be the shining examples and the trailblazers in this wicked world that has been turned against us for our own doom. This is my lifelong journey, and that's why I can speak the way I do. I never went to college. I'm not some smart dude, but I know what I
you got heart.
But I'm not going to stop talking.
You got heart, Lance. I will give you that. You got heart, and that's what's needed. We need heart. We need it. We need it. We need that heart. We got. I'm gonna do you this, Lance. Look, this is not made in a way to ostracize you as a person. My review is not trying to demonize you, or there goes another gay person trying to get. It's not that. I see you have heart. I see you care about the community. I see you care about blackness. You're trying to figure out what can I do as LanceScurv to contribute to the bigger picture of blackness. And I understand, and I appreciate you for that. I appreciate you, Liz. I appreciate your perspective. I appreciate your experience in the world, because your experience is necessary as well. But what I want y'all to also understand is it's just not y'all experiences. Okay? We have not yet found out what a monolith of blackness is, when it should just be blackness. And then exploring blackness. That's what we're trying to do. But there are still some obscured views, even with people who have passion for the community, that is looked in a way that is destructive. And once again, if we're about accountability, there are going to be people like myself, like Conscious TV, like YB Entertainment, like Joseph Williams, like Hope Giselle, like so many other influential LGBT plus individuals of color in the community that are going to come in and give their perspective too, to help lift up blackness. But how can I lift up blackness if you kicking me in my leg, bringing it down? Do you want blackness to be lifted up or not? Then you're going to need all the help you can get. And we're talking about the people, right? The people are not just one conglomerate of people. No, we're talking about different types of people under the uniqueness of blackness, and finding the common links between those differences, finding the similarities in those differences, finding the love in the midst of the darkness in order to bring light so that everybody can have their light shine. Everyone.
It's a biggie.
Well,
I appreciate y'all. I really do. I thank y'all for this video, because this video is generating ideas in me.
Discussion as it pertains to the emasculation of the black man. I mean, it can be very contentious with folks because they don't want to, think about the games that are being played and the destruction, because that goes hand in hand with the black family structure. I mean, this is not just one-sided. People can say what they want to say because they got their own personal convictions
and perspectives. Right.
The truth is the truth, and the truth does not need any arguments. To be frank, I mean, she needs no arguments. It is what it is. But thank you for having me. I'll see you in 2.
Hey, I'll be waiting here like that little hungry puppy, that hungry dog in the KFC parking lot, waiting for the folks to throw a bone out of the window. So I'm going to be that person. I love you very much. I love your journey. Thank you for blessing me with your presence, and I mean that honestly and sincerely. And look, y'all, before she goes, show her some love in the chat room, how much you appreciate her presence.
Yes, thank you. No, for real. In all honesty, Liz, we appreciate you. We do. Like I said, I'm not having conversations out of ego anymore. I'm not having conversations out of pain anymore. We're going to have conversations of healing and transformation for all people involved, including LGBT. Because like I said, our experience is here. The Black community, just like how white supremacy has pimped out Black America, the Black church has pimped out a lot of LGBT people. Because once again, it's about the benefit. Come and do what you need to do for my congregation to make me look good, to make my church look good, to make my choir sound good, so that I can get as much money as possible from these people after I have emotionally put them through this whole type of emotional, spiritual ass foreplay and playing with their emotions. But your experience and your expression of God in this world, keep that in the background. No, because it's not just heterosexual people in the world. There are people who are LGBT too, and they want to be, and we want to be able to have equality as well. We human beings at the end of the day, right? All right, so let's get to the human beingness part of it. Now, if we're having those conversations, I'm cool. If we're going to keep having these same conversations that we've been having for the past few decades that hasn't really changed a fuck-ass thing, y'all can keep that. But I do appreciate Lance and Liz for giving their perspective and their viewpoint, because it's necessary and it's needed. We need to have people willing to speak their truth so that we can go ahead and bring forth the truth that is going to be for everybody, that everybody can benefit from.
She's the real thing. You see up there, Elizabeth and Instagram. If you have Instagram, she's supposed to be on there. Elizabeth on Facebook. If you have Facebook, she's supposed to be there connected to you. You should be flooded with friend requests or likes on the page. And your YouTube channel, yes, go to the YouTube channel, Elizabeth, and subscribe, because you'll get more of what I do in her way. But we're all related because we're cousins, we're sisters, we're related. We're your sister and my brother of the same mind. Uncompromised. Much
uncompromised. Uncompromised.
Yes,
thank you, my brother. Thank you, my brother.
Take care. All right.
Was this the end? Oh, that was. Oh, cool. Okay, so I thought it was 3 hours. He just left it. Okay, so this conversation was really an hour and 4. Okay, cool, great. That's great, because I was like, I don't know how long I'm gonna do this shit for. Look, I'm gonna say this and then I'm out, because I'm about to enjoy the rest of my damn morning before I lay it on down. Listen. Black people, we got work to do. If we really about community like we say we are, we got hell of a work to do. And the reason why it's going to be a kind of a difficult thing at first is because there's going to be so many emotions going on. Because once again, with Lance and Liz, they're speaking from their experiences, what they've grown up and how the world has changed. And their opinions, perspectives, and all that stuff is accepted and appreciated. It really is. I want that to be understood. We appreciate what they're saying and what they have done and what they're sharing. Because all that we're really doing is just sharing information. On my side, on the side of Lance, on the side of Liz, unfortunately with these sides, this is all just information. You have to study to show thyself approved. But at the same time, in your studies, there are so many people like myself, like me growing up. I knew what the whole situation was in reference to homosexuality, how it was viewed, how people thought about it, and all this stuff. And I lived my life in fear, trying to pretend to be somebody that I wasn't, even though people could clearly see at that time when I was younger that I was gay. But because of the fear narrative that I've heard from the church and from other people who look like me, of course, who wants to put themselves in a position that is deemed negative? But see, once again, I was ignorant to myself. I was living my life vicariously through these other people as opposed to living life for myself. And now that I know who I am, now that BubzDaGawd know who the fuck BubzDaGawd is, okay, and has built a strong foundation within himself, I can stand up and be the best person that I can, black and all and gay and all. And that I don't need the world's affirmation of this. But if we're talking about community, if we're going to sit here and talk about community and building community and getting back to that community spirit, we have to understand that the community is built up of different type of people. And if we continue with these stereotypes against these other people, we will never find community. But like I said, even going back using a racism, because that's the one thing that energetically Black people understand. So I'll be able to have this conversation, even though some people might feel bad or feel some type of way about me. You can't equate Black with say, yes, you can, because it's discrimination. Black people, and I know this might be unpopular, we don't own the patent to discrimination. We have made that our identity. We continue to give that identity power. But let's talk about the radicalness in Blackness with LGBT being pushed in your face. Maybe it's trying to get y'all attention on loving yourselves. Because not playing the Pain Olympics, but to be black and gay, and then on top of that, to be Black and then trans. It's like, bitch, why did I even come to planet Earth if this is going to be the experience? And there are people who have, quote unquote, tried to change, not for themselves, not because they want to change, but they're changing based on the perspectives and the opinions and views of the majority, which if you don't end up aligning, okay? And we're talking about Blackness here. If you're not aligning with the majority, what the majority believes, then there's something wrong with you. So are we talking about a community of people who are truly genuinely liberated? A group of people who know who they are? A group of people who are so strong and secure within themselves that no matter what happens outside of them, they will not be moved? Or is it a herd-like mentality? Because if all these people go in this way, this must be the right way. But a lot of people will go with the herd mentality and fear, not really thinking for themselves. Now, yes, fear is a part of our instinct to be. What fear does is brings us into awareness. It brings us to a higher state of awareness to pay attention to certain things. Now, how do you transcend the fear is the question. And which I don't understand is that there are LGBT people like myself out here that are willing to have the conversations to alleviate such fear. Because there is a homophobic fear, and y'all are viewing it through the lens of white patriarchy, as if though LGBT is a white thing. If this is something that has been here since the beginning of time, if this has been here since the sun first shone down on this motherfucker, then why are y'all tripping about something that has always been here? Because you don't understand. People fear what they don't understand, and then they end up hating what it is that they fear, and that's through ignorance. And when I say ignorance, I'm not meaning ignorance and being stupid and dumb in a derogatory term. I simply mean ignorant in the fact of you just don't know. And the only way y'all gonna learn about LGBT and get a better full 360 understanding. I ain't talking about no 90, I'm talking about 360 understanding, complete, whole understanding of it. You're going to have these conversations with LGBT people who can sit. I ain't talking about having conversations with LGBT people who are trying to figure out everything else like everybody else. I'm talking about individuals who critically think, because critical thinking is not just reserved to heterosexual people. That can apply critical thinking to this stuff as well. So here's the thing that I want people to do going forward, and then I'm done because I'm almost been for 3 hours. I did damn near 7 hours worth of content today. Here's the thing. All that can change. We ain't got to stay stuck in the place that we've been stuck in if we don't want to. So I would hope going forward that LanceScurv and my brothers and sisters like LanceScurv, when they have these conversations about LGBT, that they will also continue. Well, I don't know if it's continued because I don't even know if y'all had LGBT, but I would hope that they would have and then continue afterwards to have LGBT people on the platform so that they can get their perspective as well. Because there are people that are part of the LGBT community, who are part of the Black community and the Black experience, who just want to live just like every other Black person. We're going to have to stop looking at stereotypes and actually start judging people by the content of their character. And that's going to be hard to do that when the majority of the community that we're part of, as far as Blackness, is still trying to figure out who we are. And we're never going to figure out who we are until we find out who we are individually first, before anything else. So going forward, I would hope that more conversations like this will happen. It would be dope to be invited to one of these conversations. I'm gonna let you know right now, if it's a conversation where niggas just want to gang up and just do shit, y'all can go ahead and miss me with that. It has nothing to do with fear or being scared or being intimidated. It's just that I'm not going to continue to give my energy to conversations that are not going to go anywhere. I'm not going to have conversations with people who literally just want to have their ego throbbed and want to have their ego stroked and give them a chance to work out their insecurities by pushing their insecurities on somebody else. I'm talking about having conversations with people who just want to genuinely ask questions and want to learn so that they can know better. Because like you said, Lance, when you know better, you do better. And a lot of us know better, but we're not doing better because we don't know how to do better. We're waiting for other people to do better and not do it ourselves. So again, LanceScurv, thank you for this video. Shout out to him. Y'all make sure y'all go subscribe to LanceScurv. Y'all go ahead and watch the video. Leave some love under the comment, or leave your opinion, perspective, however you feel, under the comment. Shout out to Liz. Y'all go ahead and subscribe to her channel and see what she's talking about and support her as well. But we're gonna have really nice conversations, y'all. Like, if we're family, we're gonna talk like family. All right. So with that being said, y'all, I thank y'all for rocking with me on this video. If you're sitting through this whole playthrough, even the playback, that's amazing. I thank you for that. And until next time, everybody, love yourselves, okay? What the mind conceives and the heart believes, the hand will always achieve. You just got to believe it. Y'all have the rest of a good morning, and I'll talk to y'all and see y'all later. Peace.